कॉन्फ्रेंस कर रहे हैं, एनर्जी स्टोरेज ड्राइविंग द क्लीन एनर्जी ट्रांजिशन में मैं आप सभी का स्वागत करता हूं। आजकल हम लोग हिंदी पखवाड़ा मना रहे हैं, सेवा पर्व भी मना रहे हैं, स्वच्छता पखवाड़ा भी चल रहा है जो 17 सितंबर से लेकर के 2 अक्टूबर तक चलेगा। और आज के ही माँ दुर्गा के शारदीय नवरात्रि भी शुरू हो रहे हैं, तो मैं आप सभी को नवरात्रि की शुभकामनाएं देता हूँ। आज का दिन विशेष इसीलिए भी है कि आज से जीएसटी रेट कम हो रहा है। यूनिवर्सिटी सेक्टर में जो जीएसटी रेट 12% था, अब वो कम होकर के 5% हो गया। जैसे कि आप सभी जानते हैं कि हमारा जो लक्ष्य है 500 गीगावाट 2030 तक हासिल करना है, रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी या नॉन फॉसिल एनर्जी की बात करें। हम लोग अभी तक 250 गीगावाट तक पहुँचे हैं, आधा रास्ता हमने अचीव कर लिया है। तो जो कैपेसिटी हमने 15-20 वर्षों में हासिल की है अभी तक, उतनी ही कैपेसिटी हमें अगले 5 साल में हासिल करनी है। निश्चित रूप से लक्ष्य चुनौतीपूर्ण है, परंतु हमारे मंत्रालय की और आप सभी के सहयोग से हमारी तैयारी है और हमें आशा है कि हम लोग इस लक्ष्य को अवश्य ही पूरा करेंगे। ज़्यादातर जितनी भी कैपेसिटी रिन्यूएबल में आ रही है वो मोस्टली विंड और सोलर की है। 80 से 90% तक विंड और सोलर है, और ये दोनों रिसोर्सेज इंटरमिटेंट हैं। ग्रिड स्टेबिलिटी, ग्रिड इंटीग्रेशन, ग्रिड सिक्योरिटी के लिए चैलेंजेस हैं, एंड दैट्स व्हाई वी नीड एनर्जी स्टोरेज। और उसी के लिए आज चर्चा करने के लिए हम लोग यहाँ पे सब लोग एकत्रित हुए हैं। तो एनर्जी स्टोरेज को किस तरीके से बढ़ाया जाए, क्या चुनौतियां हैं, कैसे हम इसको देश में आत्मनिर्भर बना सकें, इसी के लिए इस कॉन्फ्रेंस में हमने 2 सेशन रखे हैं। और विषय की महत्वता को समझते हुए माननीय मंत्री जी और राज्य मंत्री दोनों ने सहमति प्रदान की है कि वो इस सम्मेलन में भाग लेंगे। हम उनके आभारी हैं इस बात के लिए, क्योंकि मंत्री जी 12:30 बजे समारोह में आएंगे। तो इससे पहले हम लोग 2 पैनल डिस्कशन करेंगे। पहला पैनल डिस्कशन रहेगा इंडिया एनर्जी स्टोरेज पॉलिसी, मार्केट एंड वे फॉरवर्ड टू एक्सेलरेट द डिप्लॉयमेंट। और उसके बाद दूसरा पैनल डिस्कशन होगा R&D, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, सप्लाई चेन एंड सेफ्टी ऑफ एडवांस्ड केमिस्ट्री बैटरी टेक्नोलॉजी। इस सम्मेलन का जो वेबकास्ट है वो भी MNRE के यूट्यूब चैनल पे हो रहा है। सम्मेलन की शुरुआत करने के लिए मैं हमारे संयुक्त सचिव श्री राजेश कुलहरी जी से निवेदन करूँगा कि वे अपना स्वागत संबोधन के लिए मंच पे आएँ।
Namaskar. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to celebrate World Energy Storage Day. This storage becomes more important as we change the energy mix, and prominently now we are moving from fossil fuels to non-fossil fuels. So, non-fossil fuels, yes. The theme of this conference is energy storage, driving the clean energy transition. It aptly highlights the transformative role of energy storage in realizing a sustainable and carbon neutral energy future. On behalf of the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy and the knowledge partner NETRA, I extend my warmest greetings to all our esteemed guests, dignitaries, and participants who have joined us here today. in the inaugural session. Our Honorable Union Minister Sri Praladji Joshi, Minister of MNRE, Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, Sripad Yeso Naik, Honorable Minister of State, MNRE and Ministry of Power, Secretary MNRE Sri Santosh Kumar Sarangi ji, and Chairperson CA Sri Ghanshyam Prasad ji will also be joining us. In the inaugural session, later, as well as leading policymakers, industry leader researchers, innovators, and partners from India and across the globe. Ladies and gentlemen, energy storage is not just a technological advancement. As we have heard from Jethani ji, as the energy mix prominently adding the non-fossil fuels energy, fossil fuels have an advantage that they can be stockpiled, but the renewable energy, as it is, it has to be used whenever it is available. That is solar energy during solar hours, wind energy when wind flows, and run of the river when the water flows. So to store this energy, we don't have a choice. We need this enabler, that is the energy storage mechanism. The energy storage market is witnessing rapid growth driven by supportive policies, technological advancements, and increasing private sector participation. However, as we move forward, there are critical areas that demand our immediate attention. Scaling up domestic manufacturing of energy storage systems to reduce dependence on imports. Then building a resilient and sustainable supply chain for raw materials. Advancing research and development to improve the efficiency, safety, and affordability of storage technologies. Supporting the development of grid-scale storage system to enhance grid stability. And fostering innovation to develop new and alternative storage technologies. As we celebrate World Energy Storage Day, let's also recognize this as a moment of responsibility. The energy transition is not just about meeting targets or deploying technologies. It is about transforming lives, empowering communities, and securing a sustainable future for generations to come. Energy storage, with its ability to bridge the gap between renewable energy generation and consumption, holds the key to making this vision a reality. We must together, that is governments, industries, researchers, and civil society, overcome the barriers, accelerate the innovations, and scale up solutions. Collaborations will be the cornerstone of our success, and every effort made today will bring us closer to achieving our shared goals. To conclude, I would like once again extend my heartfelt gratitude to all our esteemed guests, participants, and partners for joining us today and for your unwavering commitment to the advancement of the clean energy and its solutions. Your presence here is a testament to the importance of energy storage in driving the clean energy transition. Let's use this platform to exchange knowledge, foster collaborations, and inspire action. Together we can build a future where clean energy is not just a choice, but a way of life. A future that is green, resilient, and sustainable. Thank you all, and I wish you a productive, insightful, and meaningful session ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we can now have the first panel discussion on energy storage policy, market, and way forward to accelerate the development. I would like to invite the session chair, Shri Akash Tripathi, Managing Director, Solar Energy Corporation of India. Please welcome. I would also like to invite Dr. Rahul Valavalkar, President Netra, as a moderator of this session. I would also request all the panelists, Dr. Gurleen Kaur, Technology and Solar Specialist, International Solar Alliance. Please welcome. Mr. Sharit Maheshwari, CEO, NTPC Green Energy Limited. Mr. Satish Talmale, CEO, Energrid. Mr. Abhishek Ranjan, CEO, BSS Rajdhani. Dr. Bharat Kumar Reddy, Director, Evergreen. Dr. Nikit Abhayankar, Director, India Energy and Climate Center, UC Barclay. And Mr. Devpalya Sen, President, India Energy Storage Alliance. So I welcome you all. I hand over to the moderator, Dr. Rahul Valavalkar. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jethani sir, and thank you very much, Shri Rajesh Kulari ji, for hosting this conference on occasion of the World Energy Storage Day. For me, I think it is now almost more than 10 years since we have been associated with Eminari, starting with creation of a standing committee on energy storage almost way back in 2014. And to see the kind of interest which is there now on energy storage, but not just the interest. I think almost everyone sitting here on the dais has played a tremendous role over the last 10 years in getting us here. So I won't take too much of the time. Without further delay, I would like to invite opening remarks from Shri Akash Tripathi ji, because we have a relatively short time. So my request to all the panelists is to keep the opening remarks to 5 minutes so that we can have some interaction. And again, if from audience, if there are any really urgent questions, then at end of the panel, please raise the hand so that we'll try to see if we can take any 1 or 2 questions from the audience as well at the end. So without further delay, I would like to invite Shri Akash Tripathi ji, who is leading the SECI Solar Energy Corporation of India, which has played a pivotal role not just for the solar sector growth, but for last 10 years has also driven the evaluation and creating the justification for integrating storage along with renewables. So Akash ji, handing it over to you.
So since it's a big panel, as you can see, and we are short of time, so I'll just straight come to the point without any background. So you're all aware that energy storage is an imperative. It's not a choice, because we wish to integrate 500 gigawatts of renewables by 2030. And in such scenario, we need to have a storage. Last year, due to blessings of rain god, we didn't face the peak which we were apprehending, that it would touch almost 270 gigawatts. So, but in future years, not always rain god will be so much blessing. So we need to have a storage to have the energy security, to have the grid stability. Since the topic of this session is on around the policy for storage, so in India, if we see the policy landscape, so there are 3-4 points on which the policy has been driven so far. The first one is basically, you know that there's a scheme from Ministry of Power. It is about the VGF, which is, I think, the target for that is almost 47 gigawatt hours, for which they'll be providing VGF. A fund of almost 9,000 crores is earmarked for that. The other policy point is basically around energy storage obligations. We all know that we have seen RPOs, and which has driven our renewable energy adoption, and now it is being changed to RCO. So similarly, we have ESO, and there would be ESO obligation, which would be there would be a progressive trajectory for those ESO, so that we ensure the adoption of clean energy into the grid. The third is basically there's a PLI around cell manufacturing. So that's again a policy push for energy storage. And then we have ISTS waivers. So the ISTS waivers are now till 2028. The projects commissioned till 2028 will have a long-term ISTS waiver. So these are generally the policy push which has been there for energy storage. There are thoughts of innovative market mechanisms like CFD and other mechanisms. So there are certain things in the pipeline as well. So I think if we see objectively, I think there has been a good policy push for the storage in recent years, but it is not sufficient. We need to have some more innovative models. In SECI, we are trying to come out with some innovative tenders which can push storage, like FDRE tenders, RTC tenders. They all integrate storage into the storage along with the RE. There's a big opportunity in the carbon market. You may all be aware that we have come out with our CCTS scheme in 2023. Currently, we have given targets for the obligated industries. We have notified those target. Draft notification has already been issued. So there is a compliance market and there is a voluntary market. In the voluntary market, we have already notified some methodologies through which we'll be providing carbon credits. And RE with storage is one of the main thing there. So we need to utilize that market. We need to utilize that carbon credit. That will help a lot in financing these storage projects. Also, I was discussing in SECI internally with my team. So we were just thinking that since we have a lot of RE developers in the country, and we have, and as we know that increasingly installing a project in India is becoming a challenge. ROW issues are there, land acquisition issues are there. So since we already have solar generators, wind generators, so we should have a policy which supports installing battery at those places. So since in the initial contract when we awarded those contracts, when we signed PPAs and PSAs, that was not envisaged that in future we can install battery also at the same site. But it makes a lot of sense if we can have storage at those places. We are seeing a lot of challenges of curtailment recently in RE. So that will also help in mitigating that challenge. So I think a policy around that would be desirable. And there are other policies as well. We need that. We know that in manufacturing there's a lot of challenge and there's a supply chain challenge there. The critical minerals are not found here. The critical mineral processing is concentrated in one geography. We are all dependent on that. So we need to have our domestic manufacturing. We need to have our critical minerals. There are a lot of challenges there. So we need to have a regular policy push on that side also so that we can achieve domestic manufacturing. We can work on alternative battery chemistries because that's very, very important. We need to have supply chain resilience. As we have seen in recent years, there have been strong geopolitical headwinds, and in such scenario, we need to have our own supply chain stability. So I think these are largely the policy landscape and what needs to be done. So with this, I think I would stop here and let other panelists have their thoughts.
Thank you very much, Akashji, for a very comprehensive overview and highlighting some of the key areas. Maybe in the follow-up question, we will get to it. But again, I believe that right now CERC already in 2017 guidelines for hybrid storage has kept a provision for both greenfield as well as brownfield projects. So we can definitely work with MNRE for addressing any gaps which are there so that SECI can take up adding storage to any of the existing projects if there are any gaps. So now without further delay, having understood the India's landscape, I would like to go to Dr. Gurlinkar, who is leading the activities related to storage for International Solar Alliance, which is bringing together more than 120 countries. And recently they have released two important reports around energy storage as well as long duration energy storage. as well as she's involved in the circular economy part of the puzzle. As Akash mentioned about the supply chain, so circularity is also a key part of the sustainable journey for the sector. So Gurleen ji, handing it over to you for your opening remarks.
Firstly, hello everyone, and thank you for the introduction, Dr. Rahul. Mr. Tripathi have covered most of my points, so that was a very comprehensive introduction remarks. So I would move ahead with two things because some of the points have been already covered. First, ISA 1 works with 124 member countries, and our focus is specifically for working with least developed countries and small island and developing nations. With regards to that, we have received, as Dr. Rahul mentioned, we have released 2 reports this year. One is on one is on short and medium duration storage, specifically for small island and developing nations, LDCs and SIDS, where we have done technology prioritization for 10 countries across the globe. This was released at ACEF. It is available on our website. The second report that we have released is on long duration energy storage. And some of the issues that were also highlighted by the previous speakers were with regards to the grid stability and long duration storage is really important. And we have done that for 10 countries, technology prioritization. And these countries include Nepal, Brazil, Barbados, Chile, Cameroon, and this is also available on our website. And ISA is doing these activities as part of our special program, which is e-mobility and storage, and we are further developing into this regard. Next part of the same would be the circularity aspect in this case. So we are not only asking our countries to move with storage. We are also asking them to move into storage with sustainability aspect, taking into consideration the critical supply chain aspects, the lack of minerals that we have around. So this is really important. So we have this program on solar and PV battery waste management, and we are preparing battery recycling guidelines for all our member countries right now across the globe. This is as part of the global case studies that we are analyzing, and at the same time, we are taking out the best practices to develop this guideline and framework. The third point that I want to make, which is the co-location aspects. So, as you know, I'm specifically talking in case of solar. Storage is I would say, the journey from sunrise to sunset. So this is something that makes the storage journey possible. So this is also the road from having flickering lights to 24-hour round-the-clock electricity. And at the same time, this is the journey between energy access and energy security. So when we talk about co-location, normally the parallel or analogy that we use is peanut butter and jelly, but being an Indian, I would like to use kyo and khichdi. So that is the best combination that we have, kyo khichdi combination for co-location. And India has taken really proactive stance on this. So in February this year, according to the National Energy Plan, they have mandated that 10% from 2026 will come from the storage. And if we analyze the market size of this, because from December 2024, it is 4 gigawatt, we move to around 250 gigawatt in 2030, and then the market is predicted to go to around 500 gigawatt in the next decade. So even if we take 10% of that, it is around 30 billion USD by 2030 that the market opens. And now if I open that to all our ISA member countries, so based on stats of 2023, around 45% of the global renewable energy deployment, specifically in case of solar, comes from ISA member countries, which amounts to around 650 gigawatt. And then we compound that market size of energy storage to another decade. So you can look at the amount of business opportunities for battery, not only manufacturers, but also recyclers and everything that we can get through ISA member countries, and also developing such sort of frameworks across the globe. Yeah. And this is the spirit, I would say, from ambition to action that ISA is working for, not only guiding our member countries in terms of technology readiness prioritization, but also further moving ahead with pilot identification to hand-holding them to end of life and recycling, and also at the same time involving private sector and opening opportunities in different segments across the globe. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you very much, Gurlinji, for highlighting the International Solar Alliance perspective, and I think the work being done at ISA perfectly matches with the theme of the World Energy Storage Day, because when back in 2017, when Global Energy Storage Alliance thought about creating World Energy Storage Day, the idea was that many of the developed countries like US, in Europe, Japan, and then even India was taking almost more than 10 years for getting this consensus on policies, and we thought that we cannot wait for every country to go through this learning curve on their own. So the whole idea behind creating the World Energy Storage Day was so that we can share the best practices, learnings from across the countries, so that as the technology matures, the manufacturing scales up, the economics becomes cleaner, it can be scaled up very fast. So I think the institutions like International Solar Alliance, World Bank, IRENA play a very crucial role. So thank you very much for being here and sharing your perspective. Now, switching gears, I'd like to go to Mr. Sarit Maheshwari to share his perspective from the point of view of NTPC Green Energy. So NTPC again does not need any introduction, but again now in the new avatar, NTPC is also looking at being a key role player for the renewable energy as well. So Saritji, your comments.
Thank you, Rahulji. I think the basic policy level issues and the large framework in which the battery storage is required is aptly covered by Akash sir and Ma'am Gurleen. I would like to bring in a couple of points from the developer's perspective over here. See, when we are talking about battery storages, it is now very imminent that we cannot reach the 500 gigawatt landmark unless and until we have enough storage mechanisms. Now, these storage mechanisms can be of two types. One is the battery storage that we are seeing, and the other one is the PSP one. The long duration energy storage still is in the nascent form, and it would take some more time before it comes onto the commercial scale. The latest traction that has come up in battery storage is primarily because the prices have plummeted. The prices which were around 3-4 years back to now has plummeted almost to the order of 60 to 70%. Still, it's far away from what the affordability brings in. One very important thing that we all need to consider is that the utilization of the battery has to be in both the cycles. That is in the morning peak and in the evening peak to make it more affordable. Now here comes the challenge that while solar is picking up everywhere, the wind, which is the other source which can provide us the energy storage in the evening hours, is not so. We are not able to do what is required there at the same pace at which we are adding the solar. So now comes the challenge that where do we get this second charging from? So from the developer's perspective, I can tell you most of the states are struggling to give this utilization factor only to the tune of 1.2, 1.3, which inter alia increases the basic cost of the energy which is finally getting delivered to the customers. So this is one aspect which we need to somehow address from the policy framework, that from where do we provide the affordable second cycle energy. If we are able to do that, then this gets more very, very fast. Another important thing to my mind is the safety aspect, which is today slightly lesser talked when we are talking about the implementation of large battery storage is coming everywhere. There also clear-cut guidelines needs to emerge as to what should be the kind of batteries, because as like any other commodities, these batteries also have an A, B, C class, so which can make material difference in the costing, which are imminent in the latest results. So while we celebrate the continual decline in the battery prices that are coming up, we need to be very, very conscious about what is the stuff that we are putting up in our thing. One more thing that is just a fallout of this is that perhaps there needs to be some guidelines like a QCBS kind of a thing while evaluating the battery tenders as to who is bringing what on the table for the country in terms of. So the mere price, looking at only the mere pricing must have, I think, a little bit of a thought, some policy making something. Now the ISTS waiver is only for the co-located plants as of now. We need to see whether co-location is sufficient. The CA guideline of 10% is also advisory only. How to make it more from the policy framework. A little bit from NGL point of view, we are going full out on battery storages. We have won a couple of tenders. We have an ambitious plan of 60 gigawatt. Which will definitely encompass a lot of battery storage. So in the early stages of battery storage, I think we need to put our foot steadily and strongly over here. That this new revolution, I would say, that is going to come, which would make this a journey towards net zero a real possibility, and a very, very big imperative for, as Akshaya said, RTC power, which is now going to be the next stock, which we require for every green molecule also that we produce. So the host of conglomerate of things which we need to sit together, dwell more on this. In the interest of paucity of time, I conclude here, and thank you, Rahul.
Thank you very much, Saritji. You highlighted number of key aspects, and I think there is a lot of clarity which has already emerged in last few years, but again there are some fine-tuning, especially now with the price point at which most of the tenders are getting discovered. I think even minute differences in the interpretation of the policies can have a big impact in terms of the winners and losers. So thank you for highlighting those. Now it's my pleasure that next four panelists are people who did not wait for storage prices to come to the current level, but these are the people who actually believed on the use case and started actually deploying these storage technologies almost 4 or 5 years back, if not longer. So first of these four panelists, I would like to invite now Mr. Satish Tarmare, CEO of Inaugural, for his remarks.
Hi, thank you, Rahulji, and good morning. First of all, what an auspicious day today. We are starting this event on a World Energy Storage Day. I will put my developer's perspective. Mr. Sarita has already covered few of the elements. I think we all realize it's a very exciting time for all of us. And the way we started our journey on behalf of IndiGrid and now Energrid, we started with 250 kilowatt and now we are at 2.5 gigawatt. And it happened just due to very sheer hard work from across the stakeholders. The way the whole thing got conceptualized, the way it got tendered out, and the way we are executing it right now. I would say kudos to all our policymakers who could able to achieve so much accelerated rate of putting tenders out and allowing developers community to think creatively and innovatively to make it affordable, safe and reliable. Couple of issues. I think outlook is all promising. It's not about winning the bids at a right price point, but how do we execute it better? And few of the key issues which we are trying to resolve is not only managing affordability, but how do we bring the system or technology in the country with most safety and reliability. As we all know, that we are all struggling with the unified approach on the solution. Every geography brings its own standard, certification requirement, testing requirements. It's a high time now. I think we have gained enough maturity in last 3 to 4 years to bring that consistent and unified approach. Second issue, I would say, I think as a community, I would want to bring this, that it's clear a great momentum as a country what we need to deliver. But are we creating a successful story for the world? Whole world is watching us as a country. One incident could jeopardize everything. So how sensitive we are, and especially this community, to extremely cooperate and collaborate and become united so that we continue with this momentum at a greater aspect, at a greater cause. Yeah.
No, thank you very much, Satish. I think as again you have shown how to go take step-by-step approach to learn about actually deploying these technologies, because I know that there are now many developers who are still playing with presentations and spreadsheet models to decide when is the right time to enter this area. But I think as the scale of the tenders is going bigger and bigger, also I think the cost of mistake, if you have to learn from your own mistake, is going to be bigger and bigger. So it's very important. I think many times people are still, I see, waiting for another 10% reduction in the capex. But what I see from, again, having worked on it now for last 20 years, actually the kind of value which you can get from the storage by optimizing it in an operation, unless you actually deploy it and you start understanding some of the nitty-gritties, you cannot actually optimize that. So again, you are a role model in terms of how to go ahead with this. And the another person who took this leadership is close friend Abhishek Ranjan. So without further delay, I will request Abhishek to share his experience. BSCS Rajdhani has been one of the pioneers in terms of evaluating storage along with SECI. They were one of the first one to start looking at application of energy storage on the deployment side. And not just in his current role, but even in the previous role, he has been part of this journey for almost last 10 years. So Abhishek, handing it over to you for your remarks.
Thank you, Rahul, and thanks a lot, Amanari and Jithaniji and everyone here for giving me the opportunity here to speak at this forum, auspicious day, World Energy Storage Day, and as you said, the beginning of festivities, Durga Puja. You know, many things have been spoken about storage, and one thing I am very happy after 10 years, all of us are on the same page that storage is essential. The way we are going towards variable renewable energy integration, storage is essential. Now, once we are at this level, the second thing is where do we deploy storage, and so that we reap the maximum benefits. Few years ago, we were stuck with the how do you price storage, whether it is rupees per kilowatt hour or rupees per megawatt per annum capacity, or a mix of it, two-part tariff, single-part tariff. But then what I can gather over the last decade, we have reached almost a consensus. Let us price it as a storage asset, capacity pricing. And then it is up to the user to use it. What is the kind of use case you are talking about? Very, very clearly the use cases which we have seen, energy arbitrage, capex deferral, and ancillary services, which are very, very clear use cases. Energy arbitrage in terms of monetary value is the largest that we have seen also in the last almost 8 months of operation, 7 to 8 months of operation in Delhi, together with IndiGrid. First thing I would like to focus on in siting. So there is a very important need that, for example, CA talks about installing 200 plus gigawatt hour of storage by 2030. Now there is a need to study as to where to site them. So CA came out with some modeling tools like, for example, Stellar. There could be a number of other modeling tools. Maybe what I would suggest is a national model can be developed, and this we developed in my previous company in Renew Power. So some kind of model could be developed where to site the battery storage, keeping n number of factors in mind, co-located with renewable standalone battery storage at different voltage levels. So that will give us a maximum bang for the buck. and we'll be able to utilize it in a fullest manner. So we are trying to do our small intervention in the distribution utility, wherein we are talking about deploying at 66 kV and below. So the one we deployed in April, 20 megawatt, 40 megawatt hour, was at 33 by 11 kV substation and towards the 11 kV side. So we did some kind of study across the network saying that which all networks, if we deploy storage, is able to help strengthen my network planning. And of course, energy arbitrage comes as a boon. Why? Because the time period when the price peaks, the market price or maybe my SMP, that is a marginal price, peaks, is also the time when the asset loading peaks. So therefore, twin advantages. If I use energy arbitrage, I also get the benefit of shaving off the peak from my asset, network asset, and therefore the capex difference. So this kind of study is very, very important. Of course, we are all talking about lithium ion. So next point would be to see for alternate technologies. I was reading a report from CPUC where LDES, that is Long Duration Energy Storage Council, is talking about one of the ways they are experimenting with is iron air, FE air. They are talking about 100 hours of storage. And they are talking of some POCs in California. So I would love to see if we can bring this here, because iron and air both are in abundance in our country. And it can lead to self-reliance, more of self-reliance rather than lithium ion, where the critical mineral we know the problem is there. And that is 100 hours, which is very, very huge advantage. Third thing which I would like to see is more clarity on, of course, in the last 6 years, MNRE and MOP have brought out ample clarity the way actually a bankable RFP can be floated. Okay, the regulatory commissions have clarity, and we have been supported by honorable regulatory commissions in Delhi as well. Because of the MNRE guidelines which came in 2022 FDRE and then 2023 FDRE guidelines and standalone guidelines as well, which have been very instrumental, the basic bedrock for floating of the tenders. And I had some opportunity of working on FDRE guidelines as well in my previous role in a renewable energy company with SECI as well 2 years back. So the idea is, how do you bring such technologies to the fore which are more affordable and more sustainable in the Indian scenario? And also turn out the other third use case, which is ancillary services. We tested SRAS, which is Secondary Reserve Ancillary Services, in the battery storage that we have deployed together with the Grid Controller of India. Now, there would be certain push required in terms of what are the reforms required in the ancillary services regulations, which is CRC, Ancillary Services Regulations 2022. So with these words, I'll close my remarks. Yeah, thank you.
No, thank you very much, Abhishek, for sharing these insights. As you rightly mentioned, in fact, ancillary services was one of the first services, high-value services, which we had identified. And in fact, from 2014, we have been waiting for operationalization of that, which originally was scheduled for 2017, but now almost another 7-8 years down the line now, with the changing economics, we are ended up shifting gears and now just looking at justifying most of these projects just on energy arbitrage. So I think around the globe, we have been talking about storage as a Swiss knife, where there are multiple value propositions, right from energy arbitrage, ancillary services, capacity benefit, as well as the transmission and distribution upgrade deferral benefit, which can help optimize system level costs. So we need to figure out how do we still capture all of these value streams, because again, many of the tenders right now are bid based on 1 cycle per day or maximum 2 cycle per day, and there is some uncertainty to the developers in terms of if there is a alternate usage which could affect the life and warranties for the storage, because we have seen these internationally, especially in US, whereas some of these regulations and the usage change, that will have a huge financial impact on the life of the project as well. So but if you can capture the value, then it's not an issue, because even if you have to replace the batteries, you can justify the replacement. But I think that clarity is very much important. So thank you for highlighting that. Now I would like to go to
Just
yeah.
a quick plug-in.
Sure.
So we have, in the ISA reports that I just mentioned, we have analyzed several use cases for LDES, MDES, and short, medium, and long duration storage. So please have a look at that for looking at more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just
Use
one,
cases.
yeah, and just one point I would like to actually mention, because I do see a lot of this discussion about lithium ion versus LDAs. But again, as in last 10 years, the field has evolved. 10 years back, lithium ion batteries were seen primarily for just 30-minute application. Then that time prices were about $750 per kilowatt hour. When prices came below $500 per kilowatt hour, people started deploying storage for 1 hour. When prices came below $300, then 4 hours started. And so now with the current prices, with less than $120, $130 delivered prices, we are seeing that the use case for even 6 hour or longer duration is catching up. So again, for regulators or tendering authorities, I would say that do not get caught up in terms of this differentiation between short, medium, long duration storage. I think what needs to be focused on is focusing on the application and performance requirement, and then the developers and the technology providers choose which technology fits that bucket. But again, one of the core partners for us over last 10 years in doing all these analysis and creating use cases for us is Dr. Bharat Reddy. Earlier he did lot of pioneering work at Solar Energy Corporation and now at Evren Energy. So Dr. Bharat Reddy, handing it to you for your remarks.
Thank you, Rahul, and thank you, Manari, for inviting. As you said, I was involved in developing a number of things in SECI. Now I'm on the other side of the table with Evren Energy, answering my own questions over there. Okay. I remember some of the things in the early days when I used to go to discoms for promotion of storage or some other entities. They were saying that why there is no need of storage, grid is having infinite storage. We struggled a lot to even promote some 10 megawatt, 2 megawatt like of projects also. Then, and it means now, I'm approaching number of discoms to sell my simple hybrid capacity along with NTPC. Whenever I approach discoms, they simply say that, "आपके पास storage है तो बताओ." So there is a sudden shift in the off-takers. Okay, this indicates that there is no requirement of promotion now for the means capacity, means accelerating growth of storage. Means everyone is aware at the bottom level also. But there are a couple of areas. As a storage like solar, it's being a distributable resource, means you can do it in kilowatt also. MNRE may consider introducing that into the rooftop storage, because soon introduction of Kusum and PM Suryagar, discoms pain will increase again the excess solar capacity during noon hours. So slowly by introducing some storage, that will help the further growth. Okay, that may be considered. And one more thing is happening, that even though guidelines are there for the open access, there are some impositions by the governments, but some state regulators and some state discoms, they are thoroughly discouraging the banking facilities. That is also propelling the growth of storage in the C&I market. We have been working in C&I market also in Evren Energy. So our consumers also, whenever we approach some customers, they're saying that they need maybe 16 hours power or RTC power like that. So that way it means there is everything is there for storage now. All the planets are in place now. Okay, and I think most of you might have surprised to see the market participation in the RRECL or RUNL tender. More than 50 developers. I never seen in solar also. Okay, so it's again a welcoming thing, because if the capacities are there, means someone has to be there to develop the capacities. That is one thing. And as Abhishek and other speakers are saying, but we need to see, instead of accelerating growth, we need to focus on sustainable growth. As someone was saying, if some catastrophic event happens, it is happening in most developed nations also. We have to be very cautious. If something goes bad, all the interest may turn out again. okay, other way. Okay, so we have to be very cautious, and it is the high time in the country we don't have the testing facilities for the energy storage, and MNRE or MOP may need to take care on developing labs with immediate support. You may need to spend some maybe 50-100 crores of money to develop the labs immediately, because unlike solar, we are not seeing any certification also properly for the batteries. Let us say if solar is having IEC 61215 certificate, it is guaranteed for performance of 25 years. Even in SECI, I struggle to get the certification on storage from the battery suppliers. So that is happening, that we need to mandate, at least we need to develop a test facility to ensure that, let us say now, many developers might be quoting based on number of cycles, 10,000 cycles, maybe 12,000 cycles or 8,000 cycles promised by the developer. What happens if battery dies down within 2,000 cycles, 1,000 cycles? It is not like solar, okay? Maybe it may degrade maximum, it may go down by 10%, you are at least safe. You will not be going to the losses. Look at this, if something goes bad, the battery suddenly drops down, all these companies may bankrupt, okay? So we have to protect as a government. I request MNRE to protect this by imposing some guidelines on the safety and also the quality, and also developing a test lab. And one more thing, slowly, like ALMM and RLMM, MNRE may take a step to identify the best quality suppliers of the batteries in the world, okay, whoever is the global suppliers or domestic suppliers. With that, we will see sustainable growth. With this, I'll conclude. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bharat Reddy. I think you highlighted two key issues. One is, I think, safety, which is again very close to our heart, because we have seen it in multiple countries. We have seen it in Korea, we have seen it in Australia, US, and many other places where a single accident can actually suddenly derail the industry for almost 4 or 5 years. It happened even in New York with New York Fire Department stopping almost any project in New York City for 5 years till the clarity came in. But the good part is now many of those international standards do exist, and we need to make sure that in India we are adopting those. BIS already has the ETD 52 committee, which has adopted already most of the IEC standard as well as some of the UL standards in this regard. But enforcement of those on ground is going to be challenging, because many times with the aggressive bidding in the tender, we don't see actually any interaction with the suppliers and developers revolving around some of these aspects. Most of the time it is just kitne mein dete ho. So that's a part where I think we need to be really careful, because if a individual project has a lower cycle life and then it's an issue for a individual supplier. But if there is an accident, then it could actually derail the entire industry. So that's something which again I urge everyone who is listening online as well as present here to take it as a non-compromisable factor, that safety is something which we really need to pay very close attention, especially with the kind of energy densities which are increasing. The first project which I was involved in had 250 kilowatt hour in a 20-foot container, whereas now 5 megawatt hour is becoming standard, and in fact we are seeing now designs where somewhere between 7 to 9 megawatt hour in a 20-foot container is also possible. So we are packing tremendous amount of energy in a small size. So looking at safety of individual container as well as the siting, location, making sure of some of the environmental factors are considered is absolutely essential. So now I'd like to go to Dr. Nikit Abhyankar, who has been again one of the pioneers in doing a lot of system level analysis to provide policymakers the right tools and justification for going ahead with these large tenders, and he's one of the strongest proponents for RE plus storage. So again, handing it to Nikit for his remarks.
Thanks a lot, Rahul. Thanks, Netra, and thanks, MNRE, Jethaniji, Devi, Anakaji as well. So I'm a professor, so when I start talking, I don't shut up for 1 hour. But I'll be very brief. So let's start with some numbers, right? I mean, all of us have already seen the lowest bid price that we have essentially witnessed. But today in India, the battery storage total capex has already fallen to between $100 to $120 per kilowatt hour, which is less than 1 crores per megawatt hour, or approximately, depending on the hours of storage, 2 to 4 crores a megawatt. And this is game changing. This is game changing for multiple reasons, and again, a lot has already been spoken. But if you just look at what is also happening in the RE space, right? 20 years ago, to install 1 gigawatt of solar, it used to take 1 full year for the whole world. This is global. 10 years ago, 1 gigawatt of solar, or 10, 15 years ago, 1 gigawatt of solar got installed in approximately 1 month. 5 years ago, 2020, 1 gigawatt of solar got installed in 1 day. Now coming to 2025, 1 gigawatt of solar gets installed in half a day. And we are likely going to exceed that number in 2026, 2027 by a significant margin. This is global I'm talking about. And of course, India is not far behind. The limited point is, as everybody said, energy storage is going to be the need of the hour, not optional. So I want to talk about 4 policy, regulatory, and market innovations that could really drive energy storage in India. Number 1 is, given that the energy storage prices have fallen so dramatically, really explore longer duration storage products. For example, solar plus storage, flat block. Simple example, SECI has already established solar plus 4-hour storage cost benchmark at approximately 3.5 rupees per kilowatt hour. Let's take the solar price of 2.5 rupees per kilowatt hour. That means the storage adder on top of solar for 4 hours of storage is approximately 1 rupees per kilowatt hour. And 4 hours of storage essentially captures nearly 30 to 35% of daily solar generation into the batteries. To create solar plus storage flat block, you need to capture approximately 65 to 70% of daily solar energy into the batteries. So if the 30-35% storage adder is 1 rupee per kilowatt hour, 65 to 70% storage adder is exactly double that. So approximately 2 rupees per kilowatt hour. Let's call it 2.5 rupees per kilowatt hour. Solar price of 2.5 plus storage adder of 2 to 2.5, we are realistically looking at a flat block solar plus storage price of 4.5 to 5 rupees per kilowatt hour. And this is one innovation that can really put the storage sector into a different orbit entirely. Not just for peaking power, but also providing base load and intermediate load power. That's innovation number 1. Innovation number 2 is adding storage to existing renewable energy, particularly existing solar plants, right? So India has 120 gigawatts of solar capacity, 100 gigawatts of solar capacity that is under construction, which means in the next 2 to 3 years, we are realistically looking at between 200 to 250 gigawatts of plain vanilla solar that has the transmission connectivity ready for storage to connect. So this is a huge opportunity that we definitely should not waste. So adding storage to existing solar projects is the second innovation, and it's a very low-hanging fruit. And that can reduce the battery prices from, say, 1 crore per megawatt hour or 2 to 4 crores per megawatt further by 10 to 15% because transmission connectivity is already paid for. The third innovation is, I think this is something that Abhishek and Rahul also talked about, is capturing the entire storage value chain. See, most of the utilities today are only capturing energy arbitrage. They just look at what is the daytime energy price, 1 rupee, less than 1 rupee, or maybe solar price 2.5 rupee. What is my peak price, 8 rupees, 9 rupees, 10 rupees? So the differential is 6 rupees. So that is essentially the value that storage is adding. Yes, that is definitely a value. But there are 3 other value streams of storage that we are completely ignoring in all that. One is the capacity value. Its storage can actually avoid building new thermal or peaking generation capacity. That value can be as high as 4 to 5 rupees per kilowatt hour, depending on which region you are, depending on what year you are looking at. But approximately 4 to 5 rupees per kilowatt hour of storage output is just the capacity value. Approximately 4, 5, 6 rupees per kilowatt hour is the energy arbitrage value that sits on top of the capacity value. Approximately 30 to 40 to 50 paisa per kilowatt hour is the ancillary services value that sits on top of it. And on top of it, there is also transmission deferral value, avoiding the transmission investment or using storage as a transmission asset. That adds another 50 paisa to 1 rupee per kilowatt hour on top of this entire value stream. So the total value that the storage brings to the system is in excess of 10 to 12 rupees per kilowatt hour. So redesigning the markets, redesigning the regulatory framework to capture the entire storage value chain is the third innovation that really needs to be looked at. And the fourth innovation is taking a holistic view of supply chains and domestic manufacturing. Well, of course, domestic manufacturing needs to happen, supply chain needs to be secured, but also looking at the global market, the storage production capacity today globally is more than double that of annual requirement. More than double. In fact, it's actually higher. In 2026, it could be close to 3 to 4 times the annual storage deployment rate, which means that storage is a classic buyer's market right now. There is huge overcapacity in supply, and that is also evident in the falling prices. So one strategy could be is procuring storage now and treating those batteries as our source for new critical minerals, say 10, 15 years down the line at the end of those batteries. Because 90 to 95% of the material in battery could be technically feasible, in a technically feasible manner, could be recycled. Of course, there are economic challenges and so on and so forth that needs to be resolved. So really changing the supply chain and domestic manufacturing discussion purely from a domestic manufacturing play to also looking at recycling, circular economy, and treating existing batteries as our source for new materials and new minerals. So those are the 4 policy innovations. I'll just stop here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Niket, again being so comprehensive right from the different value proposition to going into the supply chain and the circularity. That's very critical. Again, one thing I would like to just add to what Niket mentioned is that yes, there is a globally now there is a supply chain wise there is a excess capacity available, but that's a case with solar and many of the other. But one thing I think from the India side where the government has been looking at it is also it from the national energy security point of view, because they've already seen over the years, even with oil, it's not that we were running out of oil anytime in last 20 years, but when you are dependent on anything for 70-80% of your supply chain, you are at the mercy of many other countries, and especially in case of energy storage and solar, I think that a country we have decided that we don't want to be at the mercy of a single country to have that type of a risk, because it can derail a lot of activities. So we need to make sure that we actually step up on our manufacturing based on the original roadmap what MNRE had developed back in 2017-18. We are almost 5 years behind the schedule in terms of where we should have been in terms of the manufacturing. By now, at least 20 to 30 gigawatt hour of domestic manufacturing should have become operational, whereas we only have now maybe a couple of gigawatt hour of manufacturing which is just getting commissioned this year. So we need to really step up on the manufacturing and not let some of the supply demand price changes internationally derail that effort. Now, last but not the least, I'd like to come to my friend Devmalya Sen, who is famous for tracking all the storage tenders. I think he's become the go-to resource for tracking what's happening on which tenders. So Devmalya, handing it to you for your insights about various tenders and what you see in the coming year.
Thanks, Rahul. Hello, everyone. So I remember in 2021, I was having this chat with Bharat sir. And SECI's first tender came out with a result of 10.83 lakhs per megawatt per month. And I asked sir, kaisa hai price? So the industry was saying, kaise hua? Sir was saying, are thoda aur kam hota na, to acha hota. So from 10.83, today we are standing at 2.08 lakhs per megawatt per month. That has been the trajectory. And if you add the charging cost, then we have around 6.64 where we are delivering 4 hours of storage with charging cost included in it. So this has been the kind of development. If we look into the tenders landscape, today standing we have around 193 gigawatt hours of tenders issued, which includes 81 gigawatt hour of battery storage capacity and around 116 gigawatt hour of pumped hydro capacity. So I think, and this year alone, we have already done 72 gigawatt hour of the storage capacity. As Sir said, that the interest from developers is something which I don't have the word for it, but 50 bidders for a single tenant. Can you imagine it? So I think we were all fearing that the price will rise due to global pressure, but then with 50 bidders, the price can be anything, no one's guess. Just day before yesterday, Madhya Pradesh came out with this uniquely defined tender, solar plus storage, in which the tariff was around 2.7 to 2.76 rupees per kilowatt hour, where solar plus you're giving 4 hours of discharge. So I think the market is practically completely poised towards development, and we have a few tenders in line, CESC being one of them, Rajasthan being one of them, which are waiting for price discovery. Now, all this development is happening in utility scale, but I think somewhere the two things which I would love to develop, and Niket told a bit about it, that existing solar, so solar with retrofitted storage, that is one. Second is, how can ancillary market revenue stream be attached with these tenders? And third is what I think Bharat sir said, CNI market. That is kind of a black horse for the storage industry. And with the recent amendment to Electricity Act, which came out on Saturday, where the asset class of storage has been defined, I think the CNI market is poised to look forward to a great 2026. That's all from my part.
Thank you very much, Dev Malya. Again, yeah, it has been an amazing journey for seeing how the price trajectory has been coming down. And one of the aspects which I just wanted to highlight based on Nikit's comment, while we are focusing on the hours of storage, the other aspect which impacts the tariff obviously is what is the quantity of storage what you're adding, because right now we see most of the tenders are looking at somewhere around 20 to 30% of the capacity of the solar. So even if you are adding 4-hour storage with those, you are effectively storing only 20% of the energy from the solar project into the battery. So there is a significant scope for improving where you can go to even 30-40% of the capacity even for 4-hour, and basically it's a play between the balance of the system, the power electronics, and the cost of the storage. So I think we have just another 2 minutes left. Okay, so one is I would request all the panelists, while maybe someone, if there is any urgent question from the audience, I'd request people to raise hand. But otherwise, I'll request all the participants for giving your basically maybe 20-second comment, because as a NETRA, the Net Zero Energy Transition Association, our mission is to try to make sure that we do not duplicate efforts and we learn from each other so that we can accelerate the deployment within next decade to the global scale to have impact. So what is either key learning or key pain point where you see an opportunity for global or as well as national level collaboration? So I'll just request each panelist to just go quickly round the table and then share your thought about, is there any issue which you, where you feel that there is a collaboration required. So maybe starting with Abhishek.
No, of course, collaboration always yields to very insightful results and avoids duplicity. Okay. So as I said, we should be very thoughtful in planning and deploying, because these are costly assets. We can't put them just like networks, maybe 220 kV substations, which are lying idle or underutilized for years, wasting public money. So we should be very mindful of very careful data-driven siting of the storage. As we, right now it is fine, so it is very small quantum of storage online. So we can deploy wherever solar is there and the space is there in the grid substations, we can do it. But we need to develop a framework where siting can be, and this could be driven, maybe my session would be by CA, some modeling where it can take forward by the states as well.
To my mind, three things which will take this battery revolution very, very fast is, one is that the cycles of charging, that is the most important thing which currently needs to be addressed, that the battery should be used for 2 cycles to bring down its cost. Second one is the quality of the batteries that we are bringing in currently in the country from abroad. Third is the domestic growth. And fourth, but is the number crunching that Malia also said, that these numbers are very ambiguous. They come with a lot of, sometimes with VGF, sometimes with not so VGF, sometimes with commercial conditions changed a bit and not. So there has to be some framework in which the market assesses what is I think also very important, that needs to be brought out for everyone to understand. Because currently I'm finding that only the numbers are bringing in a lot of euphoria without getting into what exactly is going to be the real thing that comes in the country.
Thank you. We've all discussed about how there is an exponential increase in the need for storage and also how the market is rising. I just want to apprise everyone that one solution to one problem of climate change might not result in another problem, that is of e-waste and the waste of batteries. So I would request everyone, MNRE and all the developers and even the manufacturing companies that are here, to embed the principles of circularity while designing batteries, and also ensure that these batteries are recyclable and how much we are able to extract in terms of purity, and develop regulation in that regard. Thank you.
Akashi?
I think we have very comprehensively covered all the aspects, but just wish to mention one more point. Of course, we didn't discuss in detail about the pump storage. So we have a huge potential for pump storage. Almost 183 gigawatt of pump storage potential is there in India. And a significant capacity is under construction. And I think if we can have a innovative kind of a tendering mechanism through which we can utilize that as a storage, because though initial capex is high, but the life of those projects are very, very high. So they can run till 70, 80 years, while we have to go for the battery system, a new battery system after every 12 years. So that's a significant point, and I think we need to think of innovative ways how we can utilize these pump storage potential into our whole battery storage planning, energy storage planning.
Thanks. I think 2 very quick points. Number 1 is India really needs to tell its success story to the global south. India is the country that has the cheapest solar plus storage prices in the world, period. And it has achieved not because of some dramatic technology development, but sheerly because of policy, regulatory, and market innovation. So I think this needs to be told to the rest of the world, and this is where institutions such as ISA can play a huge role. And that can also, the second point is that can potentially lead to some other strategic cooperations on supply chains and creating, say, with other like-minded countries and other allied countries, some strategic critical mineral reserves, strategic lithium reserves that can also help streamline our future supply chains.
Yeah. So I think I will make 3 incremental points. It's about 10-year decade and creating that strong presence. And we all know it's inevitable now, so we don't have time for catch-up. We have been talking about these various issues for last 2-3 years. Time is to implement directly. One is, of course, on R&D. We spoke about it. I think R&D needs phenomenal support from the entire ecosystem. Today we are talking about lithium ion, shifting gears to long duration. We need to definitely evaluate, and not to catch up, but to start thinking, how do we get ready in next 2-3 years as a country? Second, of course, we spoke a lot about domestic content manufacturing, but this is time to learn, right? We need to bring all the good stuff from the global market, strip it off, understand, learn, and then create a phase-wise approach to make it happen in the country. At this time, if we put a lot of restrictions, that is not going to help to look at our vision for next 10 years. And third, which is very most pertinent, is a skill set. Today's sector is struggling, and that ecosystem also we need to foster with a close collaboration with all the institutions.
Thank you. Dr. Bharat?
One thing I'd like to mention here is that if you see the market prices, the gap is around 20 to 30 gigawatt supply and demand supply gap. The main attraction for the utilities in storage related projects are standalone storage that is the point, the arbitrage value. As the Malya was saying, around 80 gigawatt hour is to be realized within 2 years. What happens after that? Market becomes cold. So we have to work as all the community, we should work together how to make this storage market sustainable. One thought I'm thinking is that promote long duration energy storage and short duration energy storage combined together to address the RTC type of requirement. That may lead to the incremental baseload demand for the DISCOMs, so that the storage demand will be sustained in future also. Thank you.
Demalya, final comment?
Yeah, I think one is, of course, the numbers are very lucrative, but we have to spread the right awareness so that people don't make mistakes. And people get into the game looking into the numbers, and a proper awareness about what is to be considered, what is the correct percentages to be considered for each. That is very much required. And second, I think skill sets is, of course, one point that we have to work on.
Thank you. I think we have a question from the audience. So
yes, thank you. I'm from Renew, and what we are trying to understand is in terms of operating expenditure of, let's say, running a BESS plant, whether it's standalone or with RE, what would be the different, first, what's the breakup of the operating expense we can consider, and what are the different levers with which we can do cost optimization here?
go ahead.
The operational cost is typically around 2% of the capex, annual operational cost.
And the majority of that is our charging power, which is almost 70-80%. There are few statutory regulatory fees which comes, which is very minimal. And practically, it's a maintenance-free system, theoretically I would say, but needs very minimum amount of resources which has to be tackled. Largely, system can be managed remotely with AI coming in and all the technologies available. I think with good EMS system, I think it can be easily managed with a very optimal O&M budget.
I think the final question, Vikramji.
Yeah, very insightful discussion, and I think my question is to Professor Abhyankar. You have very clearly, shown us the path how the prices have been plummeting, and there is absolutely no reason why storage should not be absorbed by our system, and at various Swiss Army knife model also, there are many applications which are there. But coming from the manufacturer side, it is really alarming for me to see that you are saying that the capacity is double of what the usage absorption capacity of the whole market, which is there every year globally. So my thought just came to me was, why should anybody invest in manufacturing of these battery in such a market? It is absolutely no logic, no business sense to invest in making batteries. And you know that there is one geography which has got a stranglehold, and they are continuing to make it stronger. They are not going to loosen that grip. So why should anybody else invest in this, and the prices are going to continue to fall in the future? So that is a very big worry as a manufacturer which I have. Thank you.
No, I think that's a very real risk. But I think there are two aspects of looking at it. Number one is just grid scale storage is only about 10 to 15% of the overall batteries market. 85 to 90% of the batteries market is in EVs. At the cell level, they are still identical. And so what I talked about is basically that includes EVs as well as grid scale batteries. So as EV penetration increases, the battery utilization would effectively increase. And from a manufacturing sheerly economics perspective, you obviously cannot expect 100% utilization anyway. The utilization will remain at 60, 70%, 75%. There will always be a healthy slack of 20, 25% that the system as a whole needs to maintain. But all said and done, I 100% agree with you. I mean, this is a classic, that's why I use the term, this is a classic buyer's market. This is not a seller's market right now.
And Vikram, just to add to that, see, this is the area where innovation is there, right? It's like chip manufacturing. If you see, if NVIDIA had said that no, Intel already dominates and they have sufficient capacity, let's not get into next generation chips, we wouldn't have a $3 trillion company existing. So there is opportunity. We are seeing a lot of innovation, not just on the cathode side where a lot of innovation has happened in last decade, but on anode side, on electrolyte side, on the form factor side. And many of the times these countries, if you allow them to have monopoly, they are going to stifle, like what even US is doing on the chip export. Many countries are going to follow same thing for next generation technology. So since this is becoming crucial for the both mobility and grid, I think we don't have any choice but to get into the manufacturing for these critical technologies. So with this, I'd like to hand it back to Jethani sir.
Thank you. It has been a wonderful discussion by the eminent panelists. And Rahul, you have handled it very well within the time. And definitely, Dr. Nikit, we'd like to hear you in detail. Of course, we're ready to listen to you for not an hour, more than an hour. So with this, I request our Joint Secretary, Shri Rajesh Kolerji, to present a memo to all the panelists. First to, so let's have a big applause for all the panelists. First to the session chair, Shri Akash Tripathi ji. Ms. Gurleen Kaur, Dr. Gurleen Kaur. Sarit Maheshwari ji. Abhishek ji. Quick. Dev Malya ji. Dr. Bharat Reddy. Satish ji. Dr. Nikit. And to the moderator, Dr. Rahul. Yeah.
You're telling everybody's time and taking most of the time.
May I request all the panelists to kindly come forward to have a group photograph, please. Sir, aap bhi rahiye. मैं भी आऊँ. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, sir. So we'll quickly make up for the second panel. Give us 2-3 minutes. हाँ वो है ना, वो है ना, हाँ लेने। एक चेयर हटा देना लास्ट में। एक लास्ट की चेयर हटा देना। हाँ 8 ही चाहिए, 2 नहीं, 8 है। अच्छा अच्छा, एक नहीं आ रहा क्या? जगह दे दो थोड़ी। ठीक है, निकलेंगे। अंदर कैसे आएंगे? लोग अंदर कैसे? पीछे करके लिए ना थोड़ा पीछे। So my request is to kindly take your seat so that we can start the next panel. Kindly take your seats. Dr. Gurleen, you can discuss. I request all to kindly take your seats so that we can start the next session. So this session would be on R&D, manufacturing, supply chain, and safety of advanced chemistry battery technologies. To start that session, I would like to invite the session chair, Shrikant Nagulapalli, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Power. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly give us applause. I would request the session moderator, Devi Prasad, to please come on the dais. I request all other panelists, Dr. Mohammad Rihan, Director General, National Institute of Solar Energy, Government of India. Professor Yogesh Sharma, IIT Roorkee. Mr. Suhas Sutar, President, ESS, Replus Energy Tech. Mr. Rajesh, I think Murugesan, Dr. Murugesan from Ola. And Dr. Abhishek Kumar, co-founder and CEO, vFlow Tech. Kindly, please take a seat. So please give a big applause to all the next panelist.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll hand over to Devi.
Thank you, Jetani sir. So first session we have discussed many things. How to accelerate the deployment, what are the issues both on the grid side, on the commercial industrial space, also RE integration. So we see a great market, but how to capture the market, that's important. So we have the panelists from across technologies, beyond lithium ion. We'll discuss how the future of new technologies. We have also the organizations who are doing cell manufacturing. We have the organizations who are doing BSS system manufacturing. So let's have an interesting session. Before starting the session, I invite Sri Srikant Nagartapalli, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Power, sir, to give the opening remarks. How the market you are seeing an MOP as a key enabler for this market. We'll be happy to hear from you, sir.
So it's good to be here, especially. It's very good to learn that MNRE is organizing this conference on the occasion of Energy Storage Day. We have been adding variable renewable energies at a very rapid pace, but the pace of addition of our storage capacities, be it battery storage or hydro pumped storage, it's to catch up with the additions of VRE that we are making. And in order to fully unlock the potential of the solar and wind that we are adding. And if we see the look at the projections of Central Electricity Authority, they have projected that by 2030 we would be needing about 336 gigawatt hour of storage, and of that the battery storage alone would be more than 200 gigawatt hour, and by 2047 it's estimated that we would be requiring at least 2000 gigawatt hour of battery storage. That's about on an average 100 gigawatt hour of battery storage we'll be requiring every year. This is over and above what pumped storage that is needed to be added. Now if we see, the government of India has recognized this problem quite early, in fact as early as in 2021, and with the introduction of the launch of PLI scheme by Ministry of Heavy Industries, and from 2022 onwards, the Ministry of Power has undertaken a lot of measures in this regard. If you see on the policy front, we have the battery, which has been recognized and made part of the power system. And for that the electricity rules have been amended. Then you see we have as part of the resource adequacy plan, which the state utilities are required to prepare, battery or the storage has been incorporated as an element of planning. Simultaneously in the same year, as part of the budget announcement, the Ministry of Finance has included storage as part of the harmonized master list of for the infrastructure, where the developers, they can get easier access to longer term capital at better terms. And the Ministry of Power also has published the national framework on storage in order to promote the development and deployment of the capacities. Now coming to the demand side, in order to increase or push the demand, the government has opened number of windows. The biggest window is the distribution companies, where they can now procure the storage-based electricity or storage through tariff-based competitive bidding as part of the Section 63 guidelines. This has been allowed. And the another use of batteries or the storage is by the grid operators there the CERC has opened the window and allowed procurement of storage-based electricity for backup power. And simultaneously, you have smaller niche users like diesel gensets. The state regulators have been asked to specify a timeline so that these diesel genset users can switch to storage-based capacities. And all of us know that the battery is useful or rather very essential for the non-solar hour peak. So in order to allow purchases of stored electricity, the high power day ahead market also has provided for purchase or sale of the stored electricity in that market. And coming to ISTS waivers, more than 3 years before, the ministry has allowed waiver for storage projects for their lifetime, be it battery or pumped hydro. And recently these waivers, ISTS waivers, have been allowed up to 2028. So all the projects which have been commissioned, BESS projects till 2028 June, or the hydro projects which have been awarded until then, they are allowed waiver during their lifetime, which is 12 years for storage and 25 years for the hydro projects. And last year onwards, we have introduced 2 viability gap funding schemes in order to further push the demand, where we are supporting 43 gigawatt hour of storage, and the ministry is working on we have taken inputs from the manufacturers and developers for further expanding this. So the consultations are going on that front. Now coming to the supply side, if you see the production linked incentive scheme of Ministry of Heavy Industries has been the first, and that's the most important. And there is about 10 gigawatt hour where we have said that grid scale batteries should be supported under that. Now another major supply side push that is given is the CERC's recent amendment to connectivity, where storage based projects, which are battery projects which are co-located with solar, they'll be able to evacuate or obtain connectivity during non-solar hours, so that they can supply this electricity during non-solar hours. So people, in addition to solar hour connectivity, they can seek non-solar hour connectivity. The pumped storage also, we have certain supply side incentives in terms of capex, certain grants for the enabling infrastructure of up to 75 lakhs for the first 200 megawatts, and 1 crore first 200 megawatts, and thereafter 75 lakhs. So there's for enabling infrastructure there is a provision. And also recently the statutory clearance for all of stream pumped storage projects, they have been done away with under the Electricity Act. So these are all measures that the ministry has been taking in order to push both the demand side as well as supply side. And simultaneously the Mahir mission on advanced and high impact research is also working on supporting the lithium ion technology development. And we have recently also embarked on expanding this testing infrastructure, so that the supply side facilitation will happen. Now we have recently held certain consultations with the industry as to how we can further improve the domestic content or use Indian made cells in the storage that we deploy. So one of the factors that we see is that almost 1500 gigawatt hours of storage capacity has been already installed globally, and China has gained significant lead in this technology. And it's also heartening to note that we have about 140 plus gigawatt hour of battery cell manufacturing capacities that are under various stages of construction or implementation within the country. And the industry has informed us that these capacities will be live in the next few years. So, but if you see the whether the global capacity of 1500 gigawatt hour that is existing, or the 140 gigawatt hour of capacity that is cell manufacturing capacity that is coming within the country, almost 3/4 of this capacity is to cater to the EV market. So what we are looking at is the grid scale batteries. We were assured that the same factories would be useful for both the users. But then recognizing that the lithium ion chemistry has dependence on critical minerals, and in terms of safety concerns and other considerations, the sodium ion chemistry is fast emerging as a technology of choice for grid scale batteries. This is what we have been informed, and as part of that, we see that China and US is already they have started setting up these grid scale batteries in sodium ion technology. We were told that one about approximately 50 gigawatt hour capacity is already come live in China, and another one is under construction in USA, big ones. So there is an immediate need. This is a window of opportunity where the country can utilize this opportunity and gain a lead in an emerging technology where lithium ion is already crowded, and where China has taken the lead. Unlike that, sodium ion certainly throws a window of opportunity, and it does not depend on critical minerals. It's aligned with energy independence goal of the country. It is safe, and it is also cost effective. So this is an area where we need to certainly work, and the industry is should inform us as to what we can do to take lead in this. And as we go forward, we'll be requiring longer duration storage. So some of the suggestions that we received from the industry is to have an ALMM for the batteries which are manufactured locally, starting with packs and containers, and going up to battery cells in the next few years. So this is a very strong suggestion that we have received. And there are other suggestions where the VGF schemes of the government, they should be supported. All these schemes should deploy Indian-made cells, and there should be a mandatory storage procurement targets for the distribution companies with domestic content requirement through ALMM, then annual bidding rounds with domestic manufacturing clause, then accelerated implementation of PLI schemes, and mandating these storage obligations for captive users and developers. And also there's another suggestion which has come up is regarding ISTS waiver only for electricity made from domestic cells, maybe in the future. So I mean, many other similar suggestions we have received, and green taxonomy and ESG compliance preference for domestic cells. So all these require further deliberation, because we are not, as of date, we have not yet deliberated the pros and cons of these, and at what stage these suggestions can be implemented. So this requires detailed deliberations, and we require the inputs from all the manufacturers, industry, stakeholders, academicians, everybody. And I'm sure that this today's interaction will at least throw some light in this direction. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. You have mentioned multiple points. So few of the burning points we want from you on acceleration phase, like BSS system level testing, that's the immediate requirement. And we request MOP to sir, accelerate it, because now the deployment is started and we need it. And second one is on the, as many of the companies started investing on making the container and system in India, maybe Cell is just started, but we need ALBM type of support. Maybe the framework need to be developed, or you can customize, but that will support to many of the companies who are starting investing, creating systems in India. And the first step is already a thankful step considering indigenous EMS for India. And thanks for MOP now giving more focus on storage for both across the value chain, not only from generation side, also on the transmission and distribution. This session will focus on multiple aspects, and we have Dr. Rihan, Director General from National Institute of Solar Energy, NICE. And when you talked about testing to how the system validation for India and how we need the support ecosystem considering Indian environment and what are the chemistries beyond lithium ion we should focus, we'll be happy to hear from you. Please go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, I'm thankful to Eminari for organizing this important discussion. Now, for everybody who is connected with the energy sector or electricity sector, storage is important. But someone who is connected with solar, it is extremely important. Because if see, we talk about importance of storage for grid management, but we believe apart from that, it is extremely helpful in better utilization of these resources also. And across the world, studies as well as demonstration projects have shown that if you have proper storage integrated with the system, then it leads to better utilization of your solar plants and all other resources also. So I have 3-4 points quickly I want to make. So one thing is, and some of the points were discussed in the previous session also. I think that the focus should not remain only on the EV part of storage. The stationary storage has to be focused. We have to ensure that the manufacturers are giving due attention to this part of storage, because in many aspects this is different from the storage required for EVs. And when we talk about the technologies available or chemistries available, we have to demarcate or we have to classify that, for example, LFP is at a different stage compared to solid state. Flow is at a different stage compared to other chemistries. So we have to accordingly give our attention or our resources to, for example, LFP may require scaling up, but solid state and flow batteries may require more efforts in R&D or sort of demo plants or pilot plants only. So we have to shortlist these 2-3 chemistries and then define a timeline, a trajectory for each of them, how we see these chemistries emerging or serving our sector in next 15 years or 10-15 years. And R&D allocation should be in line with that. Then testing, you have mentioned, it is a very important point. We have to ensure the testing infrastructure, because there are not really many labs which can test those systems. And a long-term strategy has to take into account the longer duration storage also. That is more than 10 hours. So one is PSP for that, but the other flow batteries also, as I have mentioned, that is also important for longer duration. And we have to create some demand for this stationary storage. So like in the first session it was talked about that we can start with all the existing solar plants, so that will create demand. Then we can go beyond, and in fact there are already studies from the ground which are saying that if we can start with supporting greater than 5 kilowatt rooftop solar plants also going with the storage. So that is beneficial to the consumer, beneficial to the DISCOM, easier for the grid management, and that will lead to the demand creation also in the area of stationary storage. Then this domestic, your one point is manufacturing. So I believe the solar sector in many ways can serve as a guide. So most of these things we have done in solar sector. Like ALMM has led to good results in panel manufacturing, then cell manufacturing. So similarly, we can think of a scheme where we can support the balancing the scale up, creating demand, as well as creating some local facilities. So that is ALMM for panels and as well as cells can serve as a guide, and the learnings there can be used here also. In this regard, recently we had a very detailed discussion with the industry in our institute, and the recommendations we have already submitted to MNRE. MNRE is also separately working on that. So these are some of the points which I wanted to make, and I can deliberate in detail on whatever is of interest to the audience.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ryan. So you mentioned many of the appropriate points which is required for the industries. Nice, I remember for last 7-8 years when we start multiple workshops, storage was part of the critical discussions. And now let's see, invite Mr. Suhas Sutar, President at RE Plus NG Tech. So as multiple projects are coming up, we have already installed half a gigawatt hour system in India at multiple projects. And we need the indigenous system based on the Indian environment. Design need to be based on India. So RE Plus is already installed a 1 gigawatt hour, and that is definitely insufficient on the 80 plus gigawatt hour tenders. But how you see the system manufacturing, considering now EMS need to be in India and other parts of the system, including the power conditioning system, thermal management, what's your experience and what's the way ahead, and any wish list from the industry side to support the BSS system manufacturing from the government? So Asji, please.
Good morning to all. I first want to thank MNRE and Netra to inviting us and considering contributions of RE Plus and inviting us for this session. And also want to talk about the occasion, the International Energy Storage Day, which is happening on the occasion of Navratri. And we are sitting in the hall, Akshaya Urja, Atal Akshaya Conference Hall. So the renewable energy, which is Akshaya, and which is calling for storage. So I think storage, renewable is Akshaya, and storage is Atal to happen. So on this, from this point, I want to take on to the question of Debi. So Debi, I want to correct you. We haven't installed 1 gigawatt of project, but we have 1 gigawatt hour of manufacturing facility. In terms of projects, this year we will be executing 1 gigawatt hour of project, and as a manufacturer, we are not leaving customer with our product. We are helping them till the commissioning or till the handover of project, or even the maintenance of that project for its entire life. Now coming to manufacturing or the components of BSS which are available locally or which are we are importing, or how we should indigenize everything. So a lot of manufacturing capacity available in India, but if you look at it, it is mostly for EVs, for data center, or for telecom batteries, or for UPS batteries. So all this, even in lithium ion, whatever is available is less than 600 volt DC capacity, which is currently available in India. Now when you look at the large scale project, the BSS which is coming from China, it is operating at 1500 volt DC, and I think there is acute shortage of this technology in India, and RE Plus is ready with this solution. And in this REI Expo this year in October, we will be presenting our first indigenously made 1500 volt BSS container. So we are taking first step, and I think with the support of ministry, as Shrikant sir said about the various initiatives government is taking, we will be, many other suppliers would be also be able to manufacture it and make it, or at least we'll try to fulfill the needs of India. And what sort of government support we need in this, I think, is mostly about the testing facilities, because right now whatever we are building, we are getting it tested outside India, and it is a heavy cost for us to send our battery packs from here to China or any other country where we are getting it tested and then getting it back. The second aspect is again related to testing. There are no clear-cut Indian standards for this large-scale BSS, though there have been few drafts released by CE also on how to set up the large-scale BSS, but there are no, those are still drafts, so there are no clear-cut guidelines which can help industry to build something right from scratch, because we are currently working on standards which are internationally accepted. And there is no harm in adopting them as it is, but there should be something from, I think we have BIS at cell level, but at system level we need something to be implemented which will help local manufacturers. And I am happy that EMS has been put in as one of the component which will contribute to the localization, but I think there are other components, PCS, which I think we can put as one more component which can add up to the localization. And then there is BMS, there is pack, because I think pack manufacturing is a low-hanging fruit for Indian industry and which can be easily achieved. Obviously, cell manufacturing is a long-term goal and maybe very, I would say, R&D heavy activity to be taken up by industry. I think their government can support in how do we develop different cell chemistries and their manufacturing processes, because though under PLI few companies are making cells, but I think their technology is still imported. It is not indigenously made technology. So I think their government support would help manufacturing industry to grow.
Thank you. So, as per our interaction, I visited few of the plants. How the automations are there putting in the manufacturing line of the systems, and with the plan of their system manufacturing, we're expecting around 18 to 20 gigawatt hour BSS system manufacturing capacity by end of the year, and which will actually support the project which was announced recently. And considering now across the globe how the energy density in a 20-feet container are increasing, the safety is becoming critical. I just read news yesterday, there is someone from China, it may be CATL or BYD, 10 gigawatt hour, 10 megawatt hour in a single 20-feet container, where we are now working on the 5.15 megawatt hour in a 20-feet container. So the improvement in the design on the system level is happening. And similarly, we cannot only rely on the one component and two components as part of the indigenous manufacturing value chain. And as we have a lot of ecosystem for the battery pack, module, and now companies are already starting setting up the cell manufacturing. We are expecting around 20 gigawatt hour cell manufacturing by next year, 140 gigawatt hour by 2030. PLI is actually one of the great support from the ministry side, and now the companies who are already won PLI, maybe in next couple of months they will start getting the benefits of the PLI. And beyond PLI, there are more than 10 companies who are going for the cell manufacturing, and few of the companies already manufacturing is already started, including NAS Energy. They have already developed a 600 to 700 megawatt hour cell manufacturing capacity in Karnataka. And also we have Ola Electric, because on cell level there is not much difference between the applications of a EV to stationary applications. And Ola is already set up 1.2 gigawatt hour manufacturing, which is in testing phase. They are also going for a 5 gigawatt hour in coming months. And we have Dr. Murugesan, who is heading their R&D and manufacturing at Ola Electric. We will be happy to hear from you how the cell manufacturing, that's a big elephant, India is catching up. And it is good part that when you are working on the project development side, at the same time we're working on the manufacturing side. And many of the other renewable space, it was delayed, because first we are focused on projects, then we went for the manufacturing now. But it is good part we are doing parallelly. We'll be happy to hear from you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave. And I would like to thank MNRE and Netra for organizing this wonderful event on the auspicious day. And as Dave was saying about the manufacturing of cell at Ola, so this journey started 3 years before, when as an automotive company, when we were importing the cells, our CEO thought of making our own cells at India. And initially we had a plan of getting the technology, buying the technology, and then using it in making the cells and other stuffs. But later what we felt is we had opportunities to develop these technologies in India. And it was a very tough journey in the last 3 years, that where we were able to develop an indigenous technology, which is called as a dry coating technology, where we were able to make both anode and cathode electrodes in a dry technology where we will able to position ourselves in the global market. So it was, as our first product, it took around 2.5 years for us to develop. Now we are in a position that we have laid a very good foundation. We have invested in infrastructure. We have also invested in talents, and also we have invested in know-how. So which has laid a very good foundation for us to switch over the chemistries. So when we started this, a lot of questions were arising with us, why we have to invest in a technology rather than procuring the technology. So now, as you see, where we are able to position ourselves in the global market, we are able to make our own technology. We are able to achieve a 4680 cell of a capacity of greater than 25 Ah. And now we are in a position to switch over this. Like we are in a position to develop a technology to increase the capacity to 30 Ah, and also we are working towards developing new form factors of cells, like prismatic cells, where we'll be going for the ESS applications. And as they was insisting on the innovations which are taking place in the cell. So of course there are a lot of innovations which are taking place in the energy storage, and at the cell level, if you see the Chinese market, people have gone up to 1000 Ah, and now the recent BOID cell is greater than 2000 Ah, and where they were able to achieve at the 20 feet container, there was they were able to achieve a capacity of around 10 to 14 megawatt hour. So of course there is a lot of opportunities in terms of innovation in India, and of course I would like to thank ACCPLI for encouraging us in doing this particular innovation. And moving forward, we would like to work more on development of the advanced chemistries like LMFP, silicon anodes, and also we are planning to do some R&D efforts towards the solid state batteries. And one major aspect as a cell manufacturer, what I feel is the value for the supply chain. So currently, as Vikram sir was mentioning, there is no point in manufacturing. You will not be having enough benefit during the manufacture. Of course, I accept that. At the present scale of 1 gigawatt hour, we will not be in a position to have a huge profit in cell making. But of course, during the scale up, we'll be having a profit margin. We'll be crossing the profit margin. And second thing is localization of all these materials. Of course, Ola is now trying to work towards with different suppliers where we are trying to localize cathode, anode, electrolyte, separator, and other mechanical components. And as of now, we were able to figure out certain potential customers, where suppliers, where they will be able to develop the technologies for cathode and anode. And one pity thing is we are not able to find out very good suppliers for making these mechanical cans. So where I feel that there is a huge scope where India can focus towards the development of all these kind of ancillary components of the cell. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Just a follow-up questions. Like as you are manufacturing cell and more reliant on the cathode, anode, electrolyte, how it is difficult to work on the supply chain system currently, because the supply chain industry is developing, but they are also waiting for the how cell manufacturing ecosystem to develop and supply.
Yeah.
So they are not yet ready. But now setting up cell manufacturing to procure cathode, anode, electrolyte or separator, how it was difficult?
Yeah, so when we have a discussion with the local players, of course there is a question that when you will be raising it to 20 gigawatt hour. So if you're so confident that you will raise it to 20 gigawatt hour, we'll set up our plan. That's what the discussion which is going on. But of course there are certain potential suppliers who are trying to invest in their R&D for the development, and we are closely working with them. And in terms of electrolyte, of course, it's our own in-house formulations where we had a freedom to play around with it, and we were able to localize it. And in terms of cathode and anode, again, we are working with some prominent suppliers in India, where they're also closely procuring the technology from the global market, and they're also trying to do some in-house R&D in their supply.
Thank you. Yes, lithium ion may be the front runner. It's not only about lithium ion. So always people ask me, maybe 5-7 years back when I was in conference, is lead acid days are gone? I told no, that will be still there whenever there is a requirement of low usage and other things. Similarly, is lithium ion will be the only technology? Definitely no. There are most of the global large companies started putting their investments and R&D in multiple new chemistries. And there are multiple chemistries which is actually similar age-old technologies like lithium ion, and they have a best case scenario in commercial scale for some of the applications like long duration, stationaries, and we have speakers who they have done already installations. Now I invite Dr. Abhishek Kumar, the co-founder and CEO of Viplotech. I actually visited few of their projects in Singapore. They have already installed multiple flow battery projects across the globe, and similarly multiple companies working on the flow battery chemistries, not only in Singapore but across the globe. We'll be happy to hear from Dr. Abhishek how you see the growth of the stationary storage across the globe and specifically in India, and how you see the flow batteries role in the same.
Thank you, Devi. Thank you, MNRE and Netra being a knowledge partner for this event. Privileged to be here. Just to give my background, I'm Abhishek, co-founder and CEO of Viplotech. Been in manufacturing industry for almost 20 years. I was responsible on setting up first gigafactory for solar for REC, which is now part of Reliance. Developed the half-cut PERC technology, and I can proudly say that played a role in bringing down the cost of solar from almost $1 to about 17 cents in 2016. Now it's about 11 cents. So I've seen the cost reduction of solar. There was a discussion that was raised by one of the panelists. The way semiconductor industry has been growing, or energy storage, the demand has been growing 4x. At that point of time, our capacity has not been growing. So the only way to earn money in this industry is to scale capacity, improve yield. In 2018, with that magnitude, with understanding of solar and being part of almost 12 gigawatt of deployment through one of my companies, Connect, we realized that energy storage is the key enabler, and that's what we have been talking about it. And there are multiple technology. What differentiates energy storage, and most of the panelists in the previous session and this session has been talking about, is it application based? Different technologies require different application. And they have certain niche. So we believe that if, in order to be a net zero solution, there is a need for a longer duration that can charge between 4 hours to 10 hours and discharge 8 to 12 hours, and that makes the cycle complete. With that intention, we formed a flow battery company in 2018. It's been an 8-year journey where we have scaled to a capacity of 100 megawatt hour and scaling a capacity to 1 gigawatt hour. I would like to take this opportunity, and I mean, there are multiple roadblocks in doing this because the technology is niche. First is to, we are talking about BSS. The inverters are same, 1500 volt. Not every technology can get to a same voltage of 1500 volt to be enabling inverters. So when you're talking about BSS, the balance of system for different technology differs. So our challenge was to bring our technology to the same balance of system, which we did over 8 years of research, and now we can use it. So that's a cost reduction that we have enabled. Second is that we understand that supply chain is very critical for that particular application. Also to choose flow battery was to that can we localize this in India, and we have been always working on developing local supply chain. The advantage of flow batteries are that it uses carbon, it uses plastic, it also uses vanadium, which can be recycled from petroleum waste, and we have seen that we have achieved it in an economical way. So the cost reduction can happen if there is a scale to it. We were also facing issues here in India when the cost of flow battery technology GST was 28% and it was 18. Thanks to PM Modi, from today it's 18. So that will enable more demand. Another advantage of going to alternate technology compared to lithium-ion batteries, which is very sensitive to scale and yield. Flow batteries technology complexity at that scale is lower, so manufacturing and localization can happen. We have produced batteries here in India, and we have been able to achieve 70% localization. And with vanadium localization, very confident to get to 100% localization. And our request from MNRE or ministry would be to also consider alternate long duration technology for ALM or PLI scheme that will help us to be competitive, because as we talk about scale or yield. I mean, China has deployed over 2 gigawatt of flow battery, and they have invested. So the supply chain is being developed, and to develop that supply chain, the biggest hit for manufacturer is the yield. So we will not be able to get the same yield at day 0 or 1 year. And if you are able to get that yield, and that's where the PLI can be very differentiator to support new technology, and there should be a dedicated tender for long duration. And we have been talking to multiple utilities, and thankfully we have been seeing a lot of interest nowadays for 8 hours and 10 hours tenders, and looking to participate in that. Thank you.
So Abhishek, I just need maybe 1 more minute from you. So when we talked about beyond lithium, it's always comes from maybe the tender authorities or project developers. Let's do a pilot. So it's not required actually to be a pilot for the new technology. You have already installed, and you are operating few of the projects which you have already done. Can you share the experience, how the projects are going on, so that next time when we talk, we should not talk about doing a pilot again, so we can do a mega scale project in India. So we'll be happy to hear some experience of your project which are successfully running.
So, I mean, pilots are a way to de-risk your investments. What differentiates is now there was 3 years, 4 years ago, there was not much data available. So people are talking about pilot, and we have been doing pilot with Hindalco, with Tata, and we have demonstrated that at 1 megawatt, 5 megawatt hour, it works. So it's about 5 to 20. And now where India has arrived in last few years, you will see that the pilot scale tenders are also 1.6 gigawatt hour. We were talking about GVNL is 200 megawatt, 1.6 gigawatt hour. So in that, a pilot itself will be 200, 300 megawatt hour, which is required to scale up. And I think that discussion is happening now to have a pilot, 200 megawatt hour pilot from 1 megawatt hour. That's where we are moving.
Thank you. So next I invite Professor Yogesh Sharma from IIT Roorkee. So how we see there are 2 questions to you. One is there are multiple other chemistries. Most global large lithium-ion manufacturers now putting their little finger on the sodium-based chemistries, and you are trying on that. So we'll be happy to hear from you. And second is there is a huge gap on the skill development side, because it's happening the guy who met in today, maybe in the next conference he has a different visiting card, which was not for many industries. So how India should work on accelerating the academic and industry collaboration to develop the skill development in this sector?
Yeah, thank you. Nari and of course Netra to invite me to give another aspect of the whole ecosystem, which is research and development. See, when we look at whole ecosystem of the BESS, then the cell manufacturing is one of the part, then the power electronics is the other one. When we go to the cell manufacturing, how much indigenization we have? Right, so 40 to 50% goes to material only, and the capex required is huge for cell manufacturing. Very few people wanted to go into the cell manufacturing at present. They always love to have pack manufacturing, because this is nothing. It's assembly of the cell in series and parallel combination. There is no R&D required, nothing. Everyone is doing this, mostly because of the less capex requirement. If we look at the decentralization of the whole manufacturing system, then it can be possible. What I see that, for example, we make, if you look at whole selling manufacturing process, is starting from the electrode and then their assembly in a specific form factor. So electrode manufacturing itself is a part of it. The best manufacturing, if you want to have best cell out of it, then you have to have more emphasis on the electrode manufacturing, which is a coating. So if you look at the lead acid battery, why it is so popular throughout the India? Because every single man in a small local home, they can make their lead acid battery. Because somebody will bring the lead and then you put into the electrolyte. So lead is an electrode. The plate is an electrode. So can we not do the electroding in one place and put into the manufacturing capability of a cell? Then the capex will also be reduced, and then the ecosystem can be developed throughout the country. It is not like just making a material, But what is happening these days, I mean, it is a huge anxiety. Let's say I put 1 giga factory, but the material I will be getting the same or not. That is a huge question mark. So, material development, electrode development, and then cell development must be 3 separate entities, and then it will be a viable, the ecosystem can be developed. The second thing which we started, I mean, I have been working on sodium ion battery for quite some time. Now we are putting 10 megawatt hour plant in Uttarakhand, because we have now developed our material, we have developed our cell. So I hope it will be a success story from the nation, when from the material to cell. So when we want to make any cell, then material becomes very important. The same quality material is required. So that material, if you don't have, then your cell will not be performing well. So cell, if a real optimum cell is to be made, how it is to be tested, that is again a problem. We don't have a test beds. How to identify the best cell? I mean, you can give numbers in a quote that this much with the minimum and 10,000 cycle it will work. Who tested it? 10,000 cycle, who tested? So there are accelerating rate, there are accelerating test systems which people have made, but for their own country. And there is no single model who can predict a cell life after 10,000 cycle or after 5,000 cycle. So these are the challenges which we face in our country. And the cell manufacturing equipment. You know, this is the biggest hurdle for making a whole ecosystem in our country. We don't have machines. We have to go to our neighbor country. And their machines are designed only for a specific purpose. If you want to tune it little, it won't work. And this is the reason that it is a monopoly of some of the countries, that even if you invest, but the machine has to be brought from one specific country, and that machines may be made for a specific application. So these are the challenge, and the skill development. How many of battery scientists or battery engineers we have in country? How many centers we have? If you look at our neighbor country, in fact, I was in one meeting day before, I mean last week, I saw the professors from China, they have 10 megawatt line in their labs and showing 10,000 cycles of the solid state battery. Why they have made it? Because industry as well as government has come together to the academia, but yeah, it should be, accountability must be held. So if you don't have accountability in anything, then ecosystem will not be developed. So in my opinion, we have indigenous battery system, indigenous स्वदेशी, कल ही प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा है स्वदेशी ही खरीदो, तो अगर स्वदेशी खरीदना है तो स्वदेशी बनाना पड़ेगा. तो उसके लिए we have to have a very skilled manpower, जो अभी problematic है, machine, तो whole ecosystem. हाँ, lithium तो हम बस मिस कर चुके हैं, कोई R&D करने से कुछ नहीं होगा. Or you know what is the number of scientists in BYD R&D team? Any guess? Yes, 1 lakh R&D scientists in a BYD, and that's why every year they are giving a new technology, innovation. This is the reason. So if all we together as a nation, if we all together come together, have a sharing pool of facilities, ideas, I think then it will be useful. Otherwise we will be keep purchasing cells and putting into our system here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor. Before going to the next panel of discussions, I will request the audience, if they have any questions, please raise your hand. And I have a comments on it. Like it is always not the wish of the buyer or wish of the developer. I feel it is what technology we are adopting. There are 3 reasons. One is the investors' interest. If large investment in coming in one technology, it's very difficult other technology to scale up. So how to create investors' interest in technology, the first part. Second is the economy of scale. how the automation is happening. I visited CATL, BYD, multiple plants. How the scale of automation is happening, it is rarely seen in multiple other sectors and chemistries. So automation and economy of scale. And third, last but not the least, which can be developed over time, is the supply chain ecosystem. That also need to be developed parallelly. It's not like let's create the cell, then go for the supply chain. If you're processing, then maybe mining and refining and circular economy. It can be done in parallelly. Maybe there is three things, and let's hear from audience. Yes, please.
Thank you, Dada. This was very enlightening, except the last statement that I really want to argue on that. Sir, you've said it very rightly. The scale that exists across the other country is extremely massive. But as we have shoots of opportunities in this audience, right, that Dr. Ganesan told about developing solid electrodes, which is absolutely there even in China. We are working on vanadium flow. At the same time, I'm very curious. India can fight the giants of the world if we find out a niche like dry electrode, like vanadium flow. In terms of ESS, and Dr. Ganesan and others, if you can throw some light, what are the innovations that are very India specific? Or are there technologies that you're seeing? Or are you already working on something that caters to a problem that India has? Because I think that is where we will create the niche for the industry. Is the work already on? Or
okay,
perhaps,
so the question is to?
Anybody on the panel?
Okay. Anyone can answer? Dr. Ganesan or maybe someone.
Yeah, hi Kunal. So as you were saying about the towards the ESS, as I was mentioning earlier also, the recent development by BYD is they have made a cell which is having around greater than 2000 Ah of capacity. And of course, even CATL last year they have announced a cell which is having a 5 years of zero degradation. So they have made some modifications. Of course, we are not aware about the clear R&D what they would have done, but at least they have done some R&D in terms of electrolyte, and they were able to use some kind of specific additives to improve the overall cycle life of the cell. And in terms of Indian market, of course, cost is one of the factor, and second thing is the longer cycle life, the warranty of the cell. So we have a lot of opportunities in terms of reducing the cost by adopting some specific techniques or process to make these electrodes. That's what we have done in our first product, where we were adopting a dry electrode technology to reduce the overall cost. Of course, the footprint of the factory is also being reduced because we'll be skipping the larger ovens and all. So the overall capex and opex, there is a quite reduction when we move on to the dry electrode technology. Of course, there are huge challenges when it is coming to LFP, because the particle size of LFP plays a critical role, and adopting a dry electrode technology is a huge challenge over there. And a lot of R&D opportunities are there in working towards bringing this LFP particles in terms of dry electrode. Because as of now in the market, there is no dry electrode LFP technology available. So that is one. And second thing is safety, in which we are also trying to put some R&D efforts in developing certain electrolytes which can have a safer performance, and which can also try to diffuse the thermal runaway.
Thank you. Any more question from anyone? Okay, thanks. So I just want all of you to give in 1 or 2 points what as an industry or maybe as a country we should focus on indigenization of the battery systems. It may be from cell to system to safety, or it may be R&D also one of the points, or it may be technology agnostic, starting from Abhishek, please.
That's a very tricky question. Manufacturing is a very challenging aspect, and particularly when we are competing against China, which has set up a base benchmark. The capacity is almost 1000 gigawatt hour plus. So in that case, how we should be competitive, and somebody has to start somewhere. We have seen, and we have seen in our case itself, we started developing entire supply chain, and we had huge yield losses. At that point of time, we started getting some materials from China and then do a reverse engineering on material and quality, because they are much more evolved supply chain. So use that know-how to start doing a backward engineering and then develop a local scale, which we are seeing here on demand side, and then the software, which is our forte, which is a nice step on the EMS side, which is easier to control the firmware of other, and then start to work on the hardware side. That is my 2 cents advice.
So I'll highlight the importance of skilling actually. This was raised by some panelists also. So skilling and scaling up skilling actually. So although we have started some training programs in energy storage, but it needs to be scaled up. So one good example can be like in the sector of solar, we did through Surya Mitra program. So that led to scaling up the number of manpower trained. So that can be a one way. And that can set up some models, and then we can utilize the ITI's network which we have to train people in this. And one thing I would like to highlight in solar, what we did initially for some time, we were focusing only on the material part of that. So this we should not do in here, because it does not stop at chemistry only. It has to be trained, the people have to be trained in terms of it as a complete system and as a part of the larger energy sector. So this is important. We need to scale up the skilling part.
As I mentioned, belief in our capability, our own capability. Second thing, creating an ecosystem which will be going to the depth of the whole academia or industry. And third one would be, let us not go with only cost, but the necessity of development. That is also very important aspect which we should consider. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Suhasji.
Yeah, I would comment 2 points here. One, we realize this need of best. So because the solar wave started before 2010, and we were, maybe it was our blind spot, or I don't know how to describe it, but we didn't start working on BSS at right time. So we took almost 10 years to start working on BSS as a country, and now we are realizing that we are late. So I think speed in addition to R&D, how quickly we are able to build the technologies, the speed is one of the most important thing which we should look at. And secondly, build technologies from ground, as my fellow panelist from Ola was talking about. So we as a group are also working on it, and we are, our group company, the Advanced Carbon Company, has already started working on making graphite powder for lithium-ion battery cells, and we are working with different cell suppliers, and we are able to provide customized solutions. So I think this building customized solution at the root level should help India in meeting its targets.
Dr. Murugesan.
Yep. So I just want to have a point on this localization. So I just want to emphasize on it. So of course, we are focusing more on developing this cathode, anode, and electrolyte. And I think there is an urgent need that we have a lot of opportunity to localize the ancillary and mechanical components in India, where it doesn't require a huge technology or huge investments. So I just want to emphasize, and I also want to push the government to give a lot of opportunities in terms of R&D towards this as ancillary components like current collectors and mechanical components.
Okay, that's actually a very good thing. So we can work on that, on advising, because that is another part of the mechanical components of a cell or system where need to be focused on by the MSME and SME sectors, may not require huge investment. And it's always good to have a panel with so many doctors and professors talk about the manufacturing R&D, and it's great to discuss. So hopefully next year when we meet on the World Energy Storage Day, maybe supported by MNRE at the same auditorium or maybe larger auditorium, we might have seen the market has been grown, or the new innovations might have taken place in India, and there might be some of the new technologies seen the limelights of the storage projects. And it's, before all are waiting for the plenary session, honorable ministers will join and secretary sir will join, handing over to Jetani sir to take it forward now. Thank you all the panelists.
Thank you, Devi. And definitely next year we'll be having this conference, maybe a full day, maybe 2 days, or in a big auditorium, not that the small one. We have just 100 to 150 or so seats here, but I think we will need 1,000 plus in the next year, the scale we are thinking of. So thanks all the panelists. We have number of takeaways from this panel: the manufacturing, localization, R&D, and the skilling. So I would again request our Joint Secretary Shri Rajesh Kulleri Saab to kindly felicitate the panelists. Please, sir. To Dr. Murugesan from Ola. Suhas ji from RE Plus NG Tech. Professor Yogesh Sharma ji, IIT Roorkee. डॉक्टर रेहान, ये हमारे घर की बात है. डॉक्टर अभिषेक, and of course to Mr. Devi. Thank you, sir. I request all panelists to kindly come forward for a group photograph, please. I will also come. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We are making the dais for the Honorable Minister. He will be joining within a few minutes. He's on the way, and Honorable MO is already here in the building. And maybe within 5 minutes, I think we can start the inaugural session. Thank you. सर कब आ जाएंगे ना 12:30? हम वैसे ही बात करें। गिलास और बोतल। बड़े मंत्री जो का प्रोग्राम क्या है वो आए ना, वो उनका सिग्नल देंगे तब बुलाया ना उनको, अदरवाइज बैठ के क्या करेंगे। सेक्रेटरी भी कहाँ, सेक्रेटरी ऑफिस में फ़ोन करेंगे तभी। हाँ हाँ शिवम आगे मत करो, निकलने में दिक्कत होगी ना। थोड़ा यहाँ पीछे गैप कर दो, बीच में से निकलना हो जाएंगे ना बात करने। कमल जी एक मिनट। यस सर। ठीक है सर, ऑन शेड्यूल सर। हाँ हाँ सर, ऑन शेड्यूल। नाइस टू सी यू। I request all to kindly settle down. Honorable Minister is joining very soon.
पाँच है ना, यहाँ पे 4 रख दे, एक टेबल पे इस पे 2 रख दे, इस पे वो मोहित हैंड अप कर दिया। जस्ट पर्सनल लिख के
डॉक्टर गुलीन ये उसका सिर्फ वो चल रहा है। अच्छा
बंद मत करना, बंद मत बस ठीक है, बस ठीक है। शट डाउन कर दो।
माननीय मंत्री जी इस अटल अक्षय ऊर्जा भवन में आ गए हैं और कुछ ही मिनटों में यहाँ पे होंगे, उपस्थित होंगे। हमारे बीच माननीय मंत्री जी श्री श्रीपद नायक जी आ गए हैं। माननीय मंत्री श्री प्रहलाद जोशी जी ऑडिटोरियम में करतल ध्वनि के साथ उनका स्वागत करें। मैं मंच पर आमंत्रित करना चाहूँगा माननीय श्री प्रहलाद जोशी जी, माननीय मंत्री श्री श्रीपद नायक जी, मंत्रालय के सचिव श्री संतोष सारंगी जी, संयुक्त सचिव श्री राजेश कुलेरी जी, केंद्रीय विद्युत प्राधिकरण के अध्यक्ष श्री घनश्याम प्रसाद जी एक कार्यक्रम में व्यस्त हैं, अभी ऑन द वे हैं, 5-7 मिनट उनको और लगेंगे सर ज्वाइन करने में। जी जी, थैंक यू सर। विद योर परमिशन सर विल स्टार्ट द इनॉग्रल सेशन। सबसे पहले मैं सर अनुरोध करूंगा मंत्रालय के सचिव श्री संतोष सारंग जी से कि माननीय मंत्री जी श्री प्रहलाद जोशी का पुष्प गुच्छ देकर स्वागत करें। माननीय मंत्री जी श्री श्रीपद नायक जी का स्वागत करें। मैं हमारे संयुक्त सचिव श्री राजेश कुलेरी जी से निवेदन करूंगा कि हमारे सचिव महोदय का पुष्पगुच्छ देकर स्वागत करें। माननीय मंत्री जी, हम लोग आज जब सुबह 2 सेशन हमने किए हैं जिसमें एनर्जी स्टोरेज से रिलेटेड अलग अलग मुद्दों पे चर्चा की गई थी। क्योंकि अभी घनश्याम प्रसाद जी रास्ते में हैं और थोड़ा समय लगेगा उनमें, मैं मंत्रालय के सचिव श्री संतोष सारंग जी को निवेदन करूंगा कि वे मंच पर आकर के सभा को संबोधित करें।
Honorable Minister, MNRE, Sri Prahlad Joshi ji, Honorable MOS, Sri Shripad Yesho Naik ji, Manchasin, मेरा colleague, Sri Rajesh Kuladi ji, and Upasthit dignitaries, friends from different organizations, and friends from the media. At the outset, I'll congratulate and compliment each one of you on this World Energy Storage Day, which is celebrated every year on this particular day. And in today's context, celebration of energy storage is something whose importance can't be overemphasized. We have seen India's progress in green energy, and all of us are aware that in renewable energy and in non-fossil fuel energy, India has already crossed an important milestone. Number one, 50% of India's total installed capacity today is made by non-fossil fuel sources. In addition, another milestone which we have achieved recently is to cross 250 gigawatt of installed capacity in the last few days. And the vision and drive of Honorable Prime Minister to India's net zero commitment is something which has been driving India's energy transition. And in this context, the rapid manner in which the growth has happened, in 2014, we had only about 8 gigawatt of solar installation, which has grown to about 123 gigawatt today. And in course of time, this is estimated to grow to about 300 gigawatt by 2030, and by about 2030 we are aiming at 500 gigawatt of installation. But all these aspirations, all these ambitions come with their own challenges, and one of the challenges that this hall is fully familiar is with the intermittent nature of supply of renewables. all of us know that solar energy is available only during the daytime, and as far as wind energy is concerned, availability is the highest between April to October, and then the availability tends to fluctuate. So this brings in a lot of voltage fluctuation in the grid, and stabilization of the grid has been a major challenge which our electrical engineers, our grid operators have been facing over the years. So in course of time, a more decent solution for this is now offered by energy storage, and especially today, because we have seen that the cost of energy storage has progressively declined over a period of time. In last 2 years, we have seen that grid scale battery systems have come down by about 50 to 60%, and this offers unique opportunity to renewables to provide the required assurance of supply, and accordingly would also soothe the tension which is visible among the grid managers. So in terms of grid stability and frequency control, energy storage would provide a lot of succor to our developers. In addition, we have seen in the current year a lot of curtailment of solar energy because of the dip in demand on account of frequent rainfalls even during the peak summer period. So that curtailment issue also can be addressed through energy storage. Similarly, we have seen a huge differential in power exchange between the peak demand time costs and cost during the solar hours. During the solar hour generations, the cost have come down to about 30 paise, 40 paise per unit, whereas the peak demand period it is 9 to 10 rupees. So this variability also can be addressed through energy storage system. As the audience would be fully aware, we have 3 different kinds of energy storage system which is now in vogue. One is of course the electrochemical based storage using lithium ion, sodium ion flow batteries. The other one is pump storage project, which is using solar or other kinds of energy during the daytime to pump out water to the upper reservoir and generate electricity during the low availability or peak demand hours. The third category is thermal and mechanical storage, which includes compressed air, flywheels, molten salt storage, and all these can offer a suitable mix of options to our developers to provide and address the challenges of intermittency which our renewables pose. India's energy storage market is looking very positive in the days to come, and as per CA who has joined us just a little while before, as per his estimate, we require about an upward of 210 gigawatt hours by 2030, and for this a lot of initiatives have been on the anvil. You have seen a lot of VGF schemes which have been offered by Ministry of Power to encourage more and more installation of battery energy storage system. CA has also issued a detailed guideline on co-location of battery storage by the developers, and he has mandated at least 10% of installation in future solar projects. And we have also seen that a lot of R&D and domestic manufacturing is coming in. We are aware of the PLI which has come into being by the MHI with regard to advanced chemistry cell battery, and recently our Honorable Minister has also approved a proposal for 10 gigawatt hour of battery storage system, PLI for 10 gigawatt hour for grid scale battery storage. So all these measures are expected to address the issues of intermittency and variability in power supply as far as the renewables are concerned. Recently, Madhya Pradesh had done a bid for FDRE, and where the rates discovered are in the range of 3 rupees to 3 rupees 30 paise. So with this kind of price discovery, I see the installation of REs, the challenges that RE was facing will definitely be overcome with these kind of prices, and we can look forward to much more productive and constructive mix of RE development along with battery storage to address the challenges of the grid and better integration of RE with the grid. With this, I again compliment each one of you on the World Energy Storage Day and thank both the Honorable Ministers for having spared their time to be amongst us and encourage us in our journey towards a more green transition, more green energy oriented India. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir, for highlighting the importance of the energy storage and what are the steps being taken by the Government of India and way forward. Before I invite the Chairperson CA, I request Joint Secretary MNRE to kindly present a bouquet to Chairman CA. I request Chairman CA to please give his remarks. Thank you.
Honorable Minister of New and Renewable Energy, Shri Prahlad Joshi ji. Honorable Minister of State for New and Renewable Energy and Power, Shripad Ishwar Naik ji. Santosh Sarangi ji. And all the dignitaries sitting off the dais. I can recognize many faces. Good to see Niket also coming from US and all other colleagues with whom probably the storage industries has grown and come to this stage. Rahul is sitting here. I think he has shifted his portfolio, but I think we have grown along with the framing of the policies, which was very much needed at a time when we were just at the verge of introducing storage in the energy transition space. I think we had been working for last 4 or 5 years, if not less. And by this time, I think we have almost all the policies, I'll say, in place. Earlier, we faced even the challenge of defining storage, how it will be treated. People used to ask me, storage word is not written in Electricity Act. How do you really place storage in the entire gamut of power sector? But then we came out with an innovative idea of identifying a storage with each and everything. It's almost like putting in the basket of whether it is generation, transmission, distribution, or even to the extent of consumer, or even along with the going with the equipments as well. So it takes the nature where it is, and it is that is how we try to identify and integrate. Coming towards the need of it, I think must have been highlighted by Secretary MNRE, and I think all of us know with the increasing share of renewables, it is gaining more and more importance. And so far, we had been able to manage the grid with variability of thermal. Of course, that fleet is available with us. But then, as we go along, probably we'll have to see the challenges of curtailment, etc., etc. And particularly when we have to meet the demand during the non-solar hours, that becomes a big challenge. So if that is the case, then we need to have some capacity which gives me a support during the non-solar hours away from the solar hours. And to my understanding and to the understanding of the entire industry, I think we have no option but to go for energy storage systems during these period. Quantum,
has been specified in a time frame of 2030, 32, 34, 35. All these are now in a public domain. Even 2047 also we have projected some figure about that, but definitely it will take shape as we go closer to those time frames with the new kinds of storage devices and maybe the improvement in the storage facilities that is going to come into the segment. So these figures will keep on getting revised, but the idea is how do we really see it getting it integrated into the grid so that at least grid operation doesn't become a big challenge. You must have seen even this month itself, we had frequency coming as low as 49.43, which was just slightly above 47.4, where we would have started doing the load shedding. So probably this is the time when we need this kind of a support to come in as quickly as possible, so that at least we can save the grid. I think people from Grid India also must be here, who are really worried about this kind of a situation coming off and on into the grid. I think the most recent bid of Madhya Pradesh of ₹2.70 I think is being talked about everywhere. It's a good innovative approach that has been done, and closer analysis to this brings out that probably if there is a support coming out from the states, if there is a risk mitigation measures being taken by the states or the buyer of such capacities, probably the things can improve much better. In other times, other guidelines and the products which we have been trying to frame, whether it was FDRE or RTC or any other such models which had been worked out, has also given a good result. But I think this is a new era and we need to keep innovating and trying to see what best model, depending on the need and depending on the situations, probably we'll have to keep revising and keep churning on those spaces as well. As far as the need is concerned, because we are going ahead with some battery storage and more so towards the hydro pump storage as well, because both of them are very, very essential to mitigate the high solar peaks that is going to come during the day hours. And battery storage system, 2 schemes of Ministry of Power, then some schemes of MNRE is already in the pipeline, besides the state's own schemes that will be coming up. In the hydro pump storage, of late it has taken a big leap now, and from this year onwards, we have started adding around 2.8 gigawatts, roughly around 3 gigawatts will get added on an average every year. From 28-29, you will find going in the double digit as well, roughly 10 to 13 gigawatt getting added up each year. So that means that multiplied by 5 times will be the gigawatt hours that will start getting integrated into the systems. By 32, we are targeting somewhere around 57 gigawatt and roughly more than 250 gigawatt hour of that kind of a capacity coming from the hydro pump storage. We need to push it more further on that space as well. A lot of policy changes has happened in that area as well. So I think the need is there. People are geared up. The buyers are there with the resource adequacy program in place. Every state, every DISCOMs now know how much to buy, when to buy, in what time frame to buy. All these are there. All the developers are tuned, and probably they will also be trying to deliver as per the requirement of the Indian grid. My best wishes to all of them, and hopefully we will be able to run our grid in a much, much better manner, and we don't perceive any kind of a challenge what even Spain or other countries has faced in the very recent time frame. We should be geared up, we should be prepared. Only one more before I depart from here is we need not only see for the grid scale storage systems, but we also must focus on the small scale as well, and particularly I'll urge upon the developers and all those people who are installing, particularly along with the rooftop solars or even the smaller scale. Why don't we have at least 2 hours or 3 hours of storage coming out along with the rooftop solars as well? Probably that is also going to help the distribution companies to mitigate their risk during the daytime, and That also, what will be required as we go along is there must be a visibility of all these small scale DREs and solar rooftops along with the storage with the state load dispatch centers. Probably this is one area where we need to work together so that at least we are able to have larger visibility into the system and we are able to run the grid in a much safer manner. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, providing the broad assessment of what is the energy storage requirement in the country for the coming future and what are the steps being taken by the CA for meeting these requirements. I will now request Honorable Minister of State for New and Renewable Energy and Power for making his remark before. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Namaskar ji. Honorable Minister of New and Renewable Energy and Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, Sri Prahlad Joshi ji, Secretary MNRE, Sri Santosh Kumar Sarangi ji, Chairperson CE, Sri Ghanshyam Prasad ji, Sri Rajesh Kullar ji, Joint Secretary MNRE, distinguished guests, colleagues and friends, good afternoon to you all. On the occasion of World Energy Storage Day, I extend my warm greeting to all of you. I am truly delighted to be here at this conference on energy storage, driving the clean energy transition, organized by MNRE with Netra as a knowledge partner. The themes of this conference is both timely and significant as it underscores the pivotal role of energy storage in shaping the India's clean and sustainable energy future. It is heartening to see policymakers, industry leaders, researchers and innovators come together on this important platform. Friends, under the visionary leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister, India has set ambitious and achievable goals with 500 gigawatt of non-fossil capacity by 2030, 50% share of renewable in our energy mix, a 45% reduction in emission intensity, and net zero by 2070. This Panchamrit commitment defines our path to sustainable energy future. Today, India's installed power capacity has reached nearly 495 gigawatt, with more than 252 gigawatt, around the half already from non-fossil sources. Solar has crossed 123 gigawatt and wind 52 gigawatt, making India the third largest renewable energy market globally. Another 152 gigawatt of projects are under the implementation. This is remarkable progress, but it also brings the challenges of intermittency. And here lies the importance of energy storage system. Energy storage reduces the curtailment, enhances the grid stability, enables the peak shifting, and provides the ancillary service essential for the large-scale renewable integration. As per the CE studies, India will require about 60 gigawatt or 366 gigawatt hours of storage by 2030, including 19 gigawatt from pumped hydro and 41 gigawatt from battery energy storage system. Our base alone is projected to grow to 208 gigawatt hours by 2030 and 236 gigawatt hours by 2032. Meeting this energy storage demand will require the investment of nearly 3.5 lakh to 4 lakh crore. To enable this transition, our government has launched some of the world's largest storage initiatives, such as a 43 gigawatt hours BEST program with 9,160 crore VGF support, which is the largest globally. Tenders for 12 gigawatt hours have already been awarded. Transmission charge of ISTC waiver for co-located BEST commission and PSP project awarded by 30th June 2028. The ACC PLI scheme with an outlay of rupees 18,100 crore, fostering 50 gigawatt hour of domestic manufacturing capacity, including the 10 gigawatt hour reserved for the grid scale storage. Budgetary support for PSP infrastructure such as roads, bridges and the transmission lines targeting 15 gigawatt of project by 2028. A single window clearance cell in CE to expedite the PSP approvals. India already has 6.4 gigawatt of operational PSP, 8.3 gigawatt under the construction and another 70 gigawatts in advanced stages of planning. Our overall PSP potential stands at nearly 200 gigawatt. On the BEST side, while project of 505 megawatts hour are already operational, tenders have been floated for around 71 gigawatt hours, and the domestic market is projected to grow at over 20% annually, reaching nearly $30 billion by 2030. The opportunity for industry to participate and expand is immense. We are also fostering R&D in innovation. Under the National Mission on Advanced and High Impact Research, or MAHIR, developing the alternatives to lithium-ion batteries has been identified as a priority area. Sodium-ion batteries, flow batteries, and other chemistries are gaining the traction and could diversify the supply chain while addressing critical mineral security challenges. Circular economy solutions like battery recycling and second life use will help reduce the cost and import dependence. Friends, as we scale up, challenges persist. Be it high upfront costs, land acquisition for PSPs, access to the critical minerals or regulatory hurdles. This must be overcome through innovative financing, international collaboration, and a supportive policy and regulatory ecosystem. Equally, digital technologies will play a transformative role. AI, machine learning, and advanced analytics can optimize the storage deployment, improve the forecasting, and enhance the demand-supply balancing. Friends, energy storage is not just about the megawatts and gigawatts hour. It is our resilience, sustainability, and energy security. It will be also power India's e-mobility transition, creating new avenues for growth and investments. The government is fully committed to enabling the policies and support mechanism, but the true success of this journey will rest on collaboration amongst the government, industry, and the research institution. Together, let us make the energy storage the bridge that connects India's renewable energy ambition with our net zero vision by 2070. I once again thank Seminary, Netra, and all partners for convening this important dialogue, and I wish the deliberation great success. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for giving us the guidance related to how we can overcome the challenges for the growth of energy storage capacity in the country. मैं नवीन एवं नवीकरण ऊर्जा मंत्रालय तथा उपभोक्ता मामले, खाद्य एवं सार्वजनिक वितरण मंत्रालय, भारत सरकार के मंत्री माननीय श्री प्रहलाद जोशी जी, जो कि हमारे प्रेरणा स्रोत भी रहे हैं, उनसे निवेदन करूँगा कि हम सभी का मार्गदर्शन करें.
Shri Shripad Yeshwar Nayak, MOS in power and MOS in renewable energy. श्री घनश्याम प्रसाद, श्री संतोष कुमार सारंगी, श्री राजेश जी, and all other stakeholders and other industry leaders, academicians, and all others who are present here, friends from media. Today is the World Energy Day. Today is Navaratri also. नवरात्रि का शुभारंभ हो रहा है और इस पावन अवसर पर बहुत बड़ी मात्रा में जीएसटी कट भी हुआ है, तो इसके कारण उत्सव भी बनाना, कल प्रधानमंत्री जी ने एक बहुत बड़ा उन्होंने कॉल दिया है कि बचत उत्सव करना है, तो बचत उत्सव हमारे इसमें भी कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी में जहाँ तक अभी मैं सुबह CIA में गया था तब मैं देख रहा था मीडिया वाले भी आपको क्या लाभ होगा, तो इससे बीच में मैंने ऐसे देखा तो अप्रॉक्सीमेटली द टारगेट ऑफ 248 gigawatt which we need to install further in coming 5 years. For that, savings with this GST cut will be nearly 1 lakh to 1.5 lakh crore rupees. So that will be the biggest ever advantage. ये तो एस्टिमेट अंदाज है, लेकिन नज़दीक उस बीच में तो रहेगा इवन 1 लाख करोड़ ऐसे मान के चलते हैं तो भी इट इज़ ए वेरी बिग थिंग. तो हमको भी सेलिब्रेट करना है. लेट मी ट्राई टू रिमाइंड यू. कई बार क्या होता है, इंडस्ट्री के लोग आके सरकार से मांग करते हैं, सरकार जब कर देते हैं तो लगता है तो हो गया और आगे कुछ डिमांड क्या है वो देखेंगे. ये तो एक मनुष्य का स्वभाव रहता है. जब मैं सोशल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन RSS में काम करता था तब लोग RSS में आते नहीं थे, तो हम एक बार जाके किसी एक बहुत बड़ा आदमी को बोला तो आप हमारे कार्यक्रम में आइए, तो तब उन्होंने तुरंत हाँ भर दिया. हमको लगा ये नहीं आएगा, तो हमको लगता था क्योंकि इतना आसान से हाँ भर दिया तो कहाँ आएगा. तो इसीलिए पहले के जो ज़माने में सरकार थे वो जल्दी नहीं करते थे, 10 बार आपको काटना पड़ता था चक्कर. तो अभी तो GST भी आ गया, GST के बाद अभी इतना बड़ा नेक्स्ट जेन रिफॉर्म हो गया. हम लोगों को पूरा सेलिब्रेशन करना है, दैट वी शुड नेवर फॉरगेट इट. जो भी इधर लोग है स्टेक होल्डर्स, यू हैव टू सेलिब्रेट इट, यू हैव टू कम्युनिकेट इट टू पीपल, एंड वॉट एवर नीडेड दैट हैज़ टू passed on to the end consumer. So this is the बहुत बड़ा एक हमारे ऊपर जिम्मेदारी भी है. और इसके साथ मैं अभी एनर्जी स्टोरेज के बारे में सारंगी जी भी बताया है और घनश्याम जी भी बताया है, और ये सब लोग इसी काम में बहुत बरसों से लगे हुए हैं, स्पेशली घनश्याम जी. तो हम तो 1.5 वर्ष से ही इसमें काम कर रहे हैं. आप लोगों से ही समझ के सुन के हमको बोलना है. तो मैं तो ये कहता हूँ, हमारा पोटेंशियल ऑफ द सोलार एंड हमारा पोटेंशियल ऑफ विंड इज़ क्वाइट हाई. आई वाज आस्किंग सेक्रेटरी सारंगी जी, आज के दिन में हमारा 700 ऑड कुछ है, तो और उस दिन हमने एक मीटिंग किया था. आई हैड फॉरगॉटन फिगर एंड ही टोल्ड मी दैट इट इज़ मोर देन 3000 गीगावाट. अगर हमारा पोटेंशियल 3000 गीगावाट है तो, एंड विंड में कितना है कूलर जी हमारा पोटेंशियल 1100, तो ठीक है, उसमें 25% करते हैं तो भी जब इतना सब जनरेट होता है और वो सिर्फ एक समय में होता है, मीन्स सोलार सुबह 9 से 4-5 बजे तक होता है. विंड तो हमारा वो भी हमारा हाथ में नहीं है, जब पवन देव का आशीर्वाद होता है तब ब्लो होता है. तो व्हेन जब इसका जनरेट होगा देन वी आर जनरेटिंग, देन ये लोग कर्टेल करते हैं, CA वो सब क्या क्या है बहुत है इधर. तो ये सब लोग क्या करते हैं, अभी भी मुझे कह रहे थे पीपीए नहीं हो रहा है। पीपीए में सिर्फ स्टेट गवर्नमेंट नहीं है, हमारा रेगुलेटर भी बहुत तंग करते हैं। तो इसके कारण स्टोरेज इज मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट। अगर आप लोग बहुत अच्छे ढंग से शादी का पंडाल 5 स्टार जर्मन टेंट लगा के बहुत अच्छे डेकोरेशन करके बाद में उधर ये जो फूड का स्टॉल ही नहीं लगाए तो सेल्फी लेके जाते हैं सिर्फ लोग, और कुछ और वही याद रहता है, साला बुलाया था शादी को, हमको खाना नहीं खिलाया। तो ऐसा हो जाता है। सो नीड इज स्टोरेज। Why need is storage? According to me, as I have little understood and studied, इधर जो मोहम्मद जी बैठे हैं और बाकी सब लोग हम जिससे बात करते रहते हैं, एंड हमारे ऑफिसर्स भी, हमारा सेक्रेटरी से बात होता रहता है, जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी से होता रहता है, ओवरऑल दिस इज मोर स्टेबल इवन देन थर्मल। अगर बैटरी स्टोरेज हम व्यवस्था ठीक करते हैं तो, एंड नंबर 2, इट इज मोर अफोर्डेबल। व्हाई यू नीड टू डू, we have to give more thrust, we have to work more hard, is it is cost wise it is more economical. मैं चीप नहीं बोलता हूँ, चीप अलग होता है, इकोनॉमिकल अलग होता है। कभी कभी हम बोलते हैं बहुत चीप है जी, चीप बोले तो अर्थ अलग होता है। चीप कभी भी मत बोलो, इट इज मोस्ट इकोनॉमिकल, मोस्ट अफोर्डेबल। ये मोस्ट अफोर्डेबल है। सो व्हाट इज द, आई वाज हैंडलिंग कोल and entire 5 years I handled the coal, and I think in the recent days only the minister with the blessings of Honorable Prime Minister who handled entire 5 years parliament affairs and entire 5 years coal. तो बाकी लोग इतने दिन लंबा समय तक नहीं रहते थे, लेकिन प्राइम मिनिस्टर गाइडेड मी, प्राइम मिनिस्टर गिव द प्रॉपर डायरेक्शन, so I was able to work. I know what is the problem and what is the advantage. But now things are changing in the world, but the cost wise, because of transportation, because of various other issues which I do not want to elaborate it more here, cost is not less than 6 rupees 50 paisa. Whereas, as mentioned by Ghanshyam ji now, and previously I mentioned, and Mohan Yadav, Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, he had also joined virtually in CIA event. There he mentioned, हमारे अभी 2 rupees 70 पैसा डिस्कवर हुआ है बैटरी स्टोरेज में, सोलार बैटरी स्टोरेज में 2 rupees 70 पैसा डिस्कवर हुआ है। और एक सोलार का एक डिस्कवर हुआ है विदाउट स्टोरेज, दैट इज 2 rupees 15 पैसा। ठीक है, कुछ लोग थोड़ा डर भी गए हैं 2 rupees 70 पैसे में वर्कआउट होगा। ठीक है, बाद में आप 3 rupees मानो, 3 rupees 10 पैसा मानो, 3 rupees 20 पैसा मानो, then also it is quite affordable. And पहले भी सोलार थे, पहले भी रिन्यूएबल थे, दुनिया में नहीं था क्या? थे। Was it not there? It was there. But पहले हमारा कितना था सोलार? बहुत कम था। मॉड्यूल मैन्युफैक्चरिंग क्या था? कुछ नहीं था। विंड का अभी हमें LLM विंड हमने जारी किया है, पहले क्या था? ये मोदी जी आने के बाद, पहले सूर्य नहीं था क्या? था जी। पहले इतना धूप नहीं था क्या? था। तो लेकिन नहीं होता था, इसका समझने का कोशिश नहीं हुआ था, इसका पोटेंशियल समझने का कोशिश नहीं हुआ था। टुडे इट इज बीन रिकॉग्नाइज्ड, इट इज बीन अंडरस्टूड। इसके लिए सरकार एक पॉलिटिकल विल दिखाते हुए जो भी PLI मॉड्यूल्स में 24,000 करोड़ रुपीस दिया है हमने, ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन में, सभी जगह ये PIL के द्वारा जो हमने मॉड्यूल किया है, अभी सेल कर रहे, इनगॉट्स और वेफर में भी हम करने का सोच रहे, सिलिकॉन टू पॉलीसिलिकॉन भी हम अभी काम शुरू करने के लिए हमने बता दिया है डिपार्टमेंट में। These are all the things इसके लिए जो भी हमने PIL दिया है, जहाँ भी PIL दिया है, इन अदर सेक्टर ऑल्सो, the cost, ultimately cost has reduced not less than 40%. So this PIL is adding wealth to the economy. So this is also very, very important sector. Why? Because the power demand by 2032 is going to be doubled according to Mr. Ghanshyam, correct? आपने बताया था मुझे एक बार. It is, huh? You agree with, na? You still, stick to that. No change. No change. So 2032 में अगर double होता है तो, और when world is trying to impose carbon tax, A tax, O tax, tariff, सब ये जब चल रहा है, जो प्रधानमंत्री आत्मनिर्भर भारत के बारे में बोलते हैं, उसमें स्टोरेज आता है नहीं आता है? If it is there, then आप लोग जो करना है इसमें, एकेडमिशियन बैठे हैं, रिसर्चर्स बैठे हैं, इंडस्ट्री लोग, देखो मैं तो एक मंत्री हूँ, मैं सबसे मिलता हूँ, तो सबसे मैं उनके जो अनुभव है, क्योंकि बहुत बार क्या होता है, पहले तो ये था, अभी प्रधानमंत्री जी सबके मन से, वो पॉलिटिशियन हो, ब्यूरोक्रेट्स हो, ये सबके मन से निकाल दिया है. हमारे से ज़्यादा हमारे इसमें बोलते हैं, मराठी के इन्फ्लुएंस हमारे इसमें बहुत है, शाण्या बोलते हैं. हमारे से शाण्या कोई नहीं है, ऐसे हमारा ब्यूरोक्रेटिक और हम लोगों का सोच रहता है. तो आप PM ने वो सब निकाल दिया है, हवा निकाल दिया है. PM ने बोला सबसे मिलो, मीट एवरीवन, जो ग्राउंड में काम कर रहे हैं उन लोगों से बात करो. तो वी विल टॉक टू यू, वी विल ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड योर प्रॉब्लम. इधर तो मुझे बताया हमारा कुलार जी, आप तो US में रह के इसमें बहुत काम करके आए हैं. वीड लाइक टू मीट एवरीवन, ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड नया नया क्या जो आया है. आप लोग जो अभी समस्या आप योर व्हाट प्रॉब्लम यू आर फेसिंग, वी वांट टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट. तो इसीलिए we want to go ahead in this direction, because this is when our power demand is going to increase, and when there is going to be carbon tax, this tax, that tax, all those things. Renewable energy with storage, with cost also. Ultimately, power, that is electricity, is one of the major raw material. So when it is the major raw material, then it cost आपका अल्टीमेट प्रोडक्ट के ऊपर निर्भर होता है. मेरा एक छोटा इंडस्ट्री है, बहुत बड़ा नहीं है, मेरा एक छोटा इंडस्ट्री है मेरे कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी में. हमने अभी मैं तो अभी डे टू डे नहीं जा सकता हूँ, जब भी महीने में एक बार जाता हूँ, 5-10 मिनट का एक विजिट लगाता हूँ. मैंने बोला था आप कितने इलेक्ट्रिसिटी चार्जेस अभी मंथली दे रहे हैं, तो 10 लाख 12 लाख बोला. मैंने बोला आप एक शेड में, एक इंडस्ट्रियल शेड में सोलार विथ बैटरी स्टोरेज लगा के देखिए, तो बहुत बड़ा प्रॉफिट हो रहा है. वो लोग बहुत खुश है, हमारा सब पार्टनर्स. आप तो मंत्री बनने का एक आपका सलाह से हमको बहुत फायदा हुआ है, तो बाकी तो नहीं हुआ है, क्योंकि आप तो आने से हमारे पास लोग ज़्यादा डोनेशन के लिए हमारे कंपनी में आके बैठते हैं. लेकिन दिस इज दी एडवांटेज, मीन्स थिंग्स आर चेंजिंग. सो गवर्नमेंट इज डूइंग लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स. तो हमने अभी इसमें भी PLI अभी दे रहे हैं, बैटरी स्टोरेज में भी, एंड इम्प्लीमेंटिंग द वायबिलिटी गैप फंडिंग इन BESS, ये भी हम कर रहे हैं. आज के दिन में 13.2 गीगावाट है BESS कैपेसिटी, एंड गवर्नमेंट हैज अप्रूव्ड एडिशनल VGF of 30 gigawatt BESS. So in total 43 gigawatt hour is supported under VGF with 9,160 crores. So battery storage के लिए we are investing around nearly about 9,160 crores. तो इतना तो हम इन्वेस्ट सरकार से कर रहे हैं. The VGS is a game changer, and the IEEFA's report, Institute of Energy Economics and Financial Analysis, जैसे मैंने कहा, tenders supported by VGS have tariffs that are approximately 40% lower. ये तो मेरा नहीं है, ये IEEFA's का एक report है. That has been indicated that 40% is lower than the project without VEF. Our commitment is also reflected in PLI for the advanced chemistry cells. इसमें भी हमारा PLI में scheme में advanced chemistry cell में for manufacturing 50 gigawatt hour capacity of battery cells with a significant outlay of 18,100 crores. ये पहले सोच भी नहीं सकता था, लेकिन अभी it is becoming reality. 100 gigawatt module हम manufacture अभी कर रहे हैं. And we have 30 gigawatts BES capacity in 25 gigawatt hours allocated in 15 states and 5 gigawatt to NTPC. अभी जो हमारा इसमें allotment already हो चुका है, वो मैंने बताया है. I am informed that newer technologies such as sodium ion batteries, वो आके हमको मिले थे भी. Flow batteries are garnering the significant interest due to their suitability for the grid scalable application. वो क्या होता है, initial investment ज़्यादा होता है, but the life is quite better. If it is 13-14 hours, this is what it is being briefed. If I am wrong, you may correct me. When we formally create further policy, we come out with a policy, we'll try to change it. But so far, what has been informed to me is that life is 25 years. This is 13-14 years, lithium ion. So initial investment will be more, but recovery will be quite good. So in this direction, what I would like to, because आप सब लोग इधर expert बैठे हुए, मैं ज़्यादा नहीं बोलूँगा, अभी तो जो बोला हूँ. तो ISTS का भी इसमें हमने waiver दिया है for the BESS and pumped hydro storage products commissioned before 30th June 2028, and this is critical step to lower the cost and encourage the investment. उसी के साथ a long-term energy storage obligation ESO has also been set, targeting 4% of our energy requirement by 2030. I am proud to say that at least 10 states have already included these targets in their own renewable energy policies. So our commitment to the pumped storage products also strong, with an allocation of 12,461 crores. 12,461 crores. India has already seen the installed capacity of 6.4 gigawatt of PSP, 8 gigawatt under the construction, and 61 gigawatt in various stages of planning and advancement. So in coming days, things are happening. New technology के साथ, new innovation के साथ, ज़्यादा investment होता है, scale ज़्यादा होता है, skill, scale and speed. जो प्रधानमंत्री जी बार बार बोलते हैं, skill, scale and speed. These are the things which India is needed, because we are the 4th largest economy and we are the fragile 5 and we are the 4th largest economy, and when we become the 3rd largest economy, we have to compete with the big 2 major economies. So at that time, हमारा investment, हमारा cost, everything is considered when we want to go enter into the world market. So I only wish, with a positivity, let us go ahead, let us go for the new things, what to do for the storage, आप हमसे क्या चाहते हैं और आप क्या कर सकते हैं, एक win-win situation के आधार पर we should go ahead. I was in Mumbai with Devendra Fadnavis ji 2 days back, and Maharashtra has signed MOU of 75,000 gigawatt of the pump storage projects, with 7,000 megawatt to be operational in 2 years. In just 2 years, it is going to be operational. 75,000 gigawatt, मेरे सामने ही इसका बातचीत हो गया. Things are moving, and Devendra Fadnavis जी तो बहुत अच्छे काम कर रहे हैं, especially in all infrastructure, especially in renewable, especially in PM Kusum. So these are the issues, and we want to see that India lead the world in this new age of energy storage. Our journey towards the cleaner and more sustainable future will be a challenging one, but with a collective efforts, everyone in this room, I am certain, will be succeed with the blessing of Durga Mata and also with the support of this government under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi. And I wish that in this conference, आप लोगों का जो भी सुझाव है, दिस सुझाव हम पूरा पॉजिटिविटी के साथ देखते हैं, लेकिन वो विन विन सिचुएशन आधारित रहना चाहिए। इसी शब्द के साथ मेरा वाणी को विराम देता हूँ। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। नमस्कार।
धन्यवाद माननीय मंत्री जी। आपने न केवल सरल शब्दों में बल्कि अपने व्यवहारिक ज्ञान के द्वारा हमारा मार्गदर्शन किया है, कैसे हम एनर्जी स्टोरेज के सेक्टर में आगे बढ़ सकते हैं, क्या चुनौतियां हैं और किस तरीके से इस सेक्टर में भारत आगे बढ़ सकता है। मैं धन्यवाद ज्ञापन प्रस्ताव करने के लिए श्री शोभित श्रीवास्तव को आमंत्रित करता हूं।
A very good afternoon to all the dignitaries on the dais and everybody present here. It is a privilege for me to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks on behalf of the ministry to all those who have contributed to the success of today's conference. At the outset, I express our deepest gratitude to the Honorable Minister for New and Renewable Energy and Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution for gracing the occasion with his presence and addressing the gathering. His visionary leadership and guidance continue to shape the nation's renewable energy landscape, providing a clear direction for achieving the goal of Viksit Bharat. Sir, we will continue to seek your guidance as we move forward in making India Atmanirbhar in the energy domain. Thank you, sir. I sincerely thank Honorable Minister of State for New and Renewable Energy and Power for sharing his valuable thoughts on accelerating storage deployment in the country. Sir, your guidance and words of encouragement have not only inspired confidence, but also reinforced our collective resolve to advance this vital sector. Thank you, sir. We are especially grateful to Secretary Aminari for his insightful address. His leadership continues to steer the ministry in framing progressive policies and setting clear, actionable targets. So your words today have provided us with the direction to make India a global hub for storage technologies. Thank you, sir. I also thank Chairperson CEA for sharing his valuable insights, which have helped us to improve our understanding of challenges and opportunities in integrating storage into our power system. Thank you, sir. My sincere appreciation goes to the distinguished panelists, chairs, and moderator of both technical sessions who enriched the discussions with their knowledge and practical experience. A special thanks to our knowledge partner, Netra, for their support in organizing the event, and my colleagues at MNRE, whose hard work behind the scenes made this event possible. Finally, I thank all the participants and delegates for your presence and active engagement, which has truly made today's event deliberations meaningful. With this, we conclude the formal proceedings of the day. I wish you all a pleasant afternoon and invite you all for the networking lunch, which is being served in the exhibition area. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
सर, समाप्ति से पहले एक स्मृति चिन्ह हम आपको देना चाहेंगे। मैं सचिव महोदय से निवेदन करूंगा कि माननीय मंत्री जी को एक स्मृति के रूप में एक पौधा भेंट करें। माननीय मंत्री श्री श्रीपद नायक जी, बस। धन्यवाद सर। Thank you, sir.